spell it out as each letter I said to you. I am AMC, are you one too? That's the title of the project that I'm sending to you. It's a message to MCs that whatever you do, keep your skills tight, the future is dependent on you. Never spit for only money or what they handing to you. Spit for the people, try to predict what your man gon' do. Get hungry on them, look at rappers with a cannibal view. I roll with an animal crew and we battle the few. But these days I'm spitting in the party after it's through. Cypher style, getting it in with a spectacular view. You ain't attacking the crew, in fact we clapping at you. I wish they would so I could snap these rappers in two. I'll be rapping from the south up to Kalamazoo, smacking rappers around like the tennis rackets they do. I'll be spitting what's legitimate, factual, actual, and true. Put the mic down for another sound I'm not gonna do. I was there in the beginning, I'll be there when it's through. I am AMC, are you one too? What's up, y'all? It's the Blastmaster KRS-ONE. Look, I'm dropping a new album February 22nd. It's on. I am AMC, are you one too? If you got a chance to spit it, what you gonna do? I'm too hot to handle, too hot for fans too. When I spit my MC like they say, we cram to understand you. I stay hot like the Sudan do. Open your mind, I plan to. With real knowledge, nothing you can't do. Knowledge reigns supreme on these fakers I trample. Show up at the spot while they mumble and ramble. Pull out the wax, burn these rappers down like a candle. Watching them scramble, this is just a little example. The street teacher type, at the peak of hype, the leader type, the street preacher type, culture keeper, divine speaker type, truth seeker type, deeper type, seeking freedom type, the eager type, KRS-ONE, that's what he is like, making sure the family eating right while we seeking light. Real skill when I squeeze the mic, you gon' see tonight. 146 in Broadway, that's the throwback. Broadway RT 86, that's where the show's at. Jump on the mic with no skill, you get your nose cracked. Me, I was drilling them, killing them, man, you know that. All across 110th Street, Bobby Womack. Young and saying, that's the OG, that's that old cat. That's the teacher speaking that new rap and old rap. I'm giving you your heritage back, young and whole lad.
Yo, peace, this is Son One. We in the studio right now with the one, the only, the legendary Blastmaster KRS-ONE. We're working on his new project, I Am AMC, Are You One Too? I was featured on the Between the Protest album. You might have caught some of the joints, Don't Fall For It, Murder We Just Saw, Metanetta, a couple of joints on that. But this new album, he's formulating for MCs. An album by MCs for MCs. That hard shit. Real raw boom bap. The gutter shit. The shit that we all came up on. The original shit. That everybody loves worldwide across the board. So this is I Am AMC, Are You One Too? And we got mad joints coming on this.
Now you know, of course, I can use some more kicks. That's the volume of it. To hear it more. And that's the E2. Is it two kicks?
It's like a velocity kind of thing.
So, okay, there's that. There's that boom boom. Is there another one? Is there another kick?
Nah, that's it.
Wait, just added something. No, give me a kick.
Nah, the drums already gone.
That's the drums. Nice. Okay. We need to crunch this more. Because right now the kick is like wall. I like it to be boo.
Gotcha.
So the bass, you can cut through the bass.
Gotcha.
Okay. I see what we doing. Oh, this shit is hard. Okay, so you gonna go first, and I'll go. Yo, where'd you get this beat?
I hit up DJ Static, I told him I need magic. I spit that abracadabra, his beat was automatic. He boom, 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 backed it. The microphone, I grabbed it. This combination you basic, I'm about to let him have it. I'm graphic, these rappers wait till 2022 to think in a blink. Yeah. Nigga fuck with the KRS. Ooh, son, what it is. Dropping albums one after another one. I'm in my 50s now. Look, this is the name of the new album. It's called IMAMCRU12. It's each letter IMAMCRU, a 1 and a 2. That's the name of the new project. I'm dropping it February 22nd, 2022. IMAMCRU12. Let's get it in. I like the sound of it. Only a few heads ever come around this shit. No getting around this shit, I'm pounding it. When I add rock, I get so beastie, boy. I start growling spit. You drowning in it. My flow is like the OG Kush. You loving every ounce that you get. I made it out of the pit. No glam and no glit. This may be Run's house, but I'm the handyman pulling hammers real quick. You can't touch this with a hand or a grip. Rappers avoiding the smoke like a cigarette after it's lit. I spit the tactical, mathematical, actual shit. After I spit, it's a grip I'm about to go get. Got skills? You a rapper? This the question for you. IMAMC, are you one too? Turn to your friends if they spit it, ask them too. IMAMC, are you one too? And so we're celebrating all of MCing. And the word is MCing. We're not really celebrating this other craziness that's going on, but we celebrating the original art of MCing. Putting words together, metaphors together, spitting movies, as we said. This is what we dealing with. And of course, those bars. We coming with the bars, beats and rhyme skills. Bars. And so this is what it is. IMAMC, are you one too? Yeah, yo, it's all about the spitting. It's all about the freestyle and the written. 2 mics is a tie, son, I'm hard hitting. I'm not robbing, I'm giving, you need to listen. I am insistent, with all due respect, I come correct, ain't no wishing. I shook hands with mics, so now I'm mic gripping. Listen, double metaphors on tours are quite sickening. On TV, everybody look like they hitting. Until we in the club and the dark starts to thicken. The mic is handed to you and your heart starts to quicken. If through a screen is how you seen, of course you winning. But when we listen, you ain't got a pot to piss in. If you searching like Google do for the unusual, this musical music you cruising to, it might be suitable. I'm giving you the boom bap crack crack and the boom boom boom. I'm spitting that shit so rappers don't know what the do. Who, they asking while I'm passing. The morning starter, Christos, I speak with passion. Speakers blasting, asking who smashed the party. Then go back to the college to discuss Marcus Garvey. There's hardly a better one, flipping the letter, son. I spit the metal netter, so of course I am the better one. Can you dance? Let's find out. I want to see everybody on the dance floor right now. I'm about to put y'all to the test. Let's go. Do you know the dances? Do you know the hip-hop dances? Let's see. This one is the raw for sure, taking no chances. Bringing back them old school dances, here's the answers. Whether you remember or you're new to this endeavor, dance is a major part of this culture forever. What are we preserving if the children ain't learning? Culture ain't about just numbering and just wording. Sometime you gotta show the culture at the party. Let's start with the Bismarck dance, come on everybody. The Bismarck, the party bout to get sparked. This is that moment you get live, get courage, get hard. I spit art, I'm one of a kind, they not me. I'm digitally underground like Shock G. Speaking of Shock G, when I jump, we jump. That's crisscross, but we talking about Humpty Hump. When you up, what? This is your chance. Come on everybody, do the Humpty dance. Let's go. Was the Humpty, now let's get it chunky. Like Biz used to say, yo, let's get funky. Funky, with the funk flow, we don't stop. Right about now, we gonna take it to the WAP. Remember the WAP, times we even did it on the block. Ready, set, go, stand on your spot. Take it to the top, come on y'all, let's do the rock. Watch this, whopping, non-stopping, hip-hopping, we dropping. We ain't even get yet to popping or locking. It's shocking how many dance moves we came with. Obviously, we and the ancestors got the same gift, the same lift, the same riff, and the same split. Like Bob Marley said, when the music hits, it's painless. You can't tame this or hate this. You gotta love me. Come on, y'all. Let me see you do the Dougie. Woo! That's right. That's right. This that part where we go freestyle. Some of y'all doing the Cabbage Patch, some of y'all doing the Running Man. Let me see what you got. Come on. Freestyle, freestyle. Come on, y'all. Yeah. Where my B-boys at? Where my B-girls at? Okay, we out.
Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. How's everybody doing today? We are glad to have you here. Again, welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am the acronologist, GSIMONE. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society that approaches hip hop as a divinely inspired global culture of peace and prosperity. Last week, we discussed the freestyle, body movement, dance, and how we should go with the flow of life by following life's outcome willingly. Let's not fight life's outcome worrying. Now, that does not mean to ignore things that may be happening around you. It means to always try to be calm and approach the fight with a solution if you have to fight at all. Today, we will begin the reading of the Gospel of Hip Hop at page 438, the 10th overstanding, the spirit of graffiti art. Let's take a look at the word spirit. The acronym for spirit is something pressing inside, revealing its truth. That's what the spirit is, the pressing inside of you, revealing its truth. Ask yourself, what is that pressing inside of you that wants to be revealed and to reveal its truth? Let's begin by not smothering it. Show it, share it, be it, and write it on the walls around you as a reminder of that pressing inside that wants to reveal its truth. The spirit. Again, thank you for being here with us this Sunday. This is the Temple of Hip Hop, and now for the teacher, KRS-ONE.
Yes, indeed, and we arrive once again on another Sunday. It's so crazy in here. Shout out to Grand Poobah. Shout out to Lord Jamal. Shout out to the whole brand Nubians. I was chilling with them last night. Son One got to throwing these beats on, and the cipher got so gully and ugly and just crazy. We was in North Carolina. Actually, we're still in North Carolina. Here, where we at? Carrboro?
Correct.
Carrboro, North Carolina. We're here. You know what? Let me turn this off. I got a little AC next to me. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. We're in Carrboro, North Carolina, and did a show there last night at a place called Cat's Cradle. Old school place. And matter of fact, I'm so grateful that they are still around, especially with all the clubs and restaurants going under during COVID. Let me get the water as well.
It's right there.
Oh, this is it?
No, let me go get the other.
No?
Yeah, I'll get the other.
Okay. It was great that these people still survived Cat's Cradle. Most of the artists, you hear my voice is hoarse. I was screaming yesterday. I'll tell you something else too about performing. I know better to perform, sweat, get totally wet, than walk outside. It was about 60 degrees or so, 65 degrees or so. But anything below 70, when I walk outside soaking wet, I can assure the next day my voice is going to be hoarse or coarse like this. And but the more I use it, the better it gets. And that's a tour technique as well. You wake up, your voice is like, ah. You're like, yo, I gotta cancel the tour. I can't talk. But then as you go on during the day, or as we go through this lesson, my voice will get better. But last night I was using it to rock about 500 people, and it was crazy. So shout out to North Carolina, Carborough, North Carolina, Cat's Cradle, and Brand Nubians opened up for me. They broke these dudes down. It was wonderful to see Grand Poobah and Lord Jamar there doing their thing. They also joined in on the cipher. They didn't really get into the cipher, but they was there to see North Carolina MCs get it in as well. Sun One provided the production as well. New beats started flinging. Dudes was with it. I premiered some of the new album as well. I'm practicing, so I had to get mine off as well. You got to do these songs live so that you practice them, get them in your head and get going. So it was a great MC experience yesterday, Saturday night. And here we are Sunday. I'm getting ready to drive back to Atlanta, 6-7 hour drive. So, you know, we're going to ride through this today. I'm not going to rush this lesson. This is a deep one today. We're talking about graffiti art. We're talking about graffiti art, and we're talking about it from a specific point of view. Now, there's a bunch of ways to approach graffiti writing. There's a bunch of ways to do this. That's why we're honing this down to a philosophical, spiritual approach to graffiti writing. There's mad books on graffiti, crazy DVDs, and I mean good stuff out there. The documentation of graffiti writing is way better than the documentation of rap or MCing. Even breaking has some really good documentaries that are accurate, not all this ego and hooking up your crew, but a real documentary that's explaining where these art forms came from and how they actually developed. That's the line of study that we are dealing with here at the Temple of Hip Hop. Others are hooking up their friends and trying to just shout out their crew. You know, graffiti writing is very cliquish as well. Crew, this crew, that crew. And certain crews get big and open museums or have exhibits or write books or do DVDs, and they only mention themselves and their writers. So it's important that even when you're studying graffiti writing from a DVD book or book point of view, you have to get several of these books. You got to get at least 5 or 6 individual books to really get an idea as to what was going on with these writers at a certain time. This is how you approach graffiti writing as a historical subject. So understand what I just said here. This is a unique approach to graffiti writing. This is the Temple of Hip Hop's approach to graffiti writing. Don't compare this to everybody else or to any other style of writing or approach to hip or any other study. This is our approach. This is what we know works. Okay. I love graffiti art. I started out as a graffiti artist myself. My name, KRS-ONE, that one comes out the graffiti world. And let me also say this as well before I really get started. Graffiti art is one of the fastest ways to make your imagination real. This is real. Remember that. Art in general, but we're talking graffiti art. Graffiti art, handwriting, calligraphy, scratching on the wall, scribbling, doodling. This is the fastest way to make your imagination real. Like when you say, man, I wish I had a new car right now. The fastest way to make that real is to draw the car right in front of you. You actually have the car there. You can't ride it, but you have it. It went from your mind into something else that is now physical. Other people can see the car you want now. You can see it. It's out of your mind now. It's on something else. The fastest way to make your imagination real is to draw it. Draw it. The fastest way you say, I want to change something about myself. I want to lose weight. I want a new hairstyle. I want something, whatever it is, draw yourself like that first. And you're sure to get there. You are sure, because it's out of your mind now. Now you've made it physical. So this is how we're going to approach art, graffiti art, as we go through our reading here. And if I just may end my shout outs to Cat's Cradle, to Lord Jamal, to Grand Poobah. And if you don't know who these people, I know I shouldn't even be saying this on this call. Everybody on this call knows what's up with Brand Nubians. But just in case someone's on the call that does not really know what time it is, make sure after this call you look up Brand Nubians, important group with hip hop, within the culture of hip hop, not just the music, important group in the culture of hip hop. They laid it down, rhyme styles, what was being said, etc. They took risks. They didn't get the awards either, but they was fly, straight up and down. Poobah threw on, what's the 411, hon? What's the 411? I gotta go. And all, and that's what he did with Mary J. One of the few times that Mary J. Blige rhymes. She rhymes with Poobah. Classic. Anyway, big up to the B-boys and B-girls that came out last night as well. Let me get their names right. Carl and Josie, shout out. Bam, shout out. Static, Jarrell. The dancers, you saw them in the video. You saw some of them in the video. The young lady that was dancing in the blue, that's Josie. Carl's there, the dude in the red. So on. They was with us last night as well. They got busy. We did the song Can You Dance? We saw the front row trying to do the Humpty, but they were so bunched up together, nobody could really even do anything, so they just had to sit there and watch us. But that was actually dope in that sense. GSIMONE, by the way, if I may shout you out, Simone, real quick, put the show together. She booked Poobah and KRS for the show. Which is just something on street entrepreneurialism on a whole nother level. Just we didn't even get to the street entrepreneurialism part of this. But just as a side note, look at the family affair that's actually going down. GSIMONE threw money at me and threw money at Grand Poobah and its son One. Threw money at all of us for us to do the show. Cat's Cradle wanted it. They got the package and we went ahead. And that's just a side note, and also a side note on women power, just on another level. It's not today's lecture, but just on another level, woman power. Behind great men, there is the woman, and not always, but in this particular situation, the one who orchestrated and organized it was GSIMONE, and that was dope. As the agent, as the one with the relationship with Cat's Cradle, knew Grand Poobah, knew because she had booked Poobah before. You booked Poobah on some other stuff as well, yeah. and brought him in. It was a nice connection. KRS and Poobah, the crowd loved it. North Carolina got rocked yesterday. It was ridiculous. So that's that. Now on to the reading. So we're getting serious now, straight up, because now we're at the 10th overstanding of the gospel of hip hop, and we're getting into now this scientific part. We dealt with the morality, the spirit, the conduct, the way in which we conduct ourselves as hip hoppers, as hip hopians. This is how we conduct ourselves. We are familiar with our terminologies like the inner city and overstanding, and what it means to stand on the H law, the 3 natures of hip hop, the 9 elements of hip hop, the ages of hip hop. All of this you should be familiar with now. And if you're not, go back, look at some of the lessons and refresh yourself. Get back to your gospel and refresh yourself. Why are we doing this? Because you are becoming teachers of the gospel of hip hop. You're really becoming teachers of hip hop. Because, of course, it's not just the gospel of hip hop. That's our textbook. At the Temple of Hip Hop, that's our textbook. But we study everything. Everything related to hip hop, we have the text. And you're going to have that text as well. You're going to have to build your library as well with a variety of books, DVDs, handwritten stuff, photographs, so on. We have this, and that's how we are able to create our books. So this approach to graffiti art today is for teachers. And like I said, this is our specific approach to graffiti art. So this is how we teach graffiti writing, because this is what we know have worked for us for 35 years. We break this up into 5 pieces. Now, write these down. Okay, I'm gonna go slow, write these down. These are 5 pieces when you're teaching this 10th overstanding, the spirit of graffiti art. Notice that, the spirit, not graffiti art. It's the spirit of graffiti art is what we're teaching here. That's something pressing that need to want to get on that wall or get your name up or be heard. I exist. The spirit of graffiti art, self-expression through art, the spirit of it. That's what we're, the meaning, the essence of what we call graffiti art. That's what we're dealing with. So the first lesson is graffiti art in history. Write that down. Graffiti art in history. The second lesson is why graffiti art exists for us. Again, why graffiti art exists for us. Why graffiti art exists for us. I mean, you could also say why does, but why graffiti art exists for us. This is why. I'm not really asking a question. This is a statement. Why graffiti art exists for us. We're going to explain. Third, color and light effects on perception. Let me put it this way. Color and light effects on perception. Color and light effects on perception. Fourth, chakra, chakras, and the human aura. Chakra is spelled C-H-A-K-R-A-S. Chakras or chakra, C-H-A-K-R-A. Chakra or chakras, you throw an S on the end. Chakras and the human aura. Aura, A-U-R-A, your aura. Finally, the 5th lesson, preserving the graffiti writer. Preserving the graffiti writer. Okay? So now the acronym for graffiti today is Gifted Rebels and Funky Fresh Individuals Tagging Intensely. I laugh because you don't have to write that down. Although I will say it again, this is one of my first acronyms way back in the days. It's now part of the global acronym acronology glossary created by GSIMONE. But there is Gifted Rebels, Funky Fresh, Funky Fresh, Gifted Rebels and Funky Fresh Individuals tagging intensely. Oh, did I just make this shit? No, I just did it. I just locked it. Okay, you got that? Okay. Gifted rebels and funky fresh individuals tagging intensely. Graffiti Yes, sir. So now, why did you write that down? Because when teaching the 10th overstanding of the gospel of hip hop, the spirit of graffiti, this lesson is broken down into 5 lessons. The rest of the gospel of hip hop doesn't really teach like this. There's another chapter later on that does. Actually, the temple of hip hop itself, that chapter, that overstanding does teach like this. We're not there yet. This is the graffiti. It teaches like this. And I always point out where those lessons begin and where they start. So when you're teaching the graffiti art lesson, the 10th overstanding, you don't have to go through the whole book or try to condense the whole, not the whole, but you don't have to teach the whole overstanding or try to condense that whole overstanding into one lesson. It's not. It's 5 lessons in one reading. So let's get busy. The first part of this is graffiti art in history, which is the first part, graffiti art in history. And let me just get this right here. You know what I want to do too? No, I want to move this, but I hope it doesn't. Oh, did I just do it? Okay, it's all good. It's all good. I don't want to shut off. All right, I'm gonna crawl over here because the light is better for me over here. And so I'm gonna read from over here. I hope you guys got your gospels with you. Hope you guys got your gospels with you. Turn your gospel to page 438. 438. And you know what's so crazy is that the gospel's out of print now. Because China and Russia and the whole world is what's going on with everything. Imports of Chinese goods are cut considerably, and the gospel of hip hop, this version, this particular version, was made in China, and you know, I didn't really have a say in it. My personal self was the publisher itself, Powerhouse Books. That's how they do their business. But now that there's, you know, the pandemic hit first, which interrupted trade, and now war breaking out on that section of town, also interrupting trade. We can't even stock up on our gospels anymore, at least not from that region. We're working on a paperback version and another hard copy version that's going to be printed in the United States. A lesson learned, printed right here in the United States. I may even invest in my own book binding machine, where I could just bind the books myself and just deal with it like that. So I mentioned that because if you have your gospel, hold on to it, because they're now quickly becoming rare books. There will be another gospel, a second edition of this first instrument. Obviously, we're going through the errors. We're taking stuff, we're correcting it. The next edition will be a better version of this original edition, but this original edition, this first edition, and if you have it signed by me as well, you're holding a gold mine right now. You're holding a gold mine, because this will be like, you got the pre-war version or the pre-COVID version, and then there'll be a post-COVID or post-war version as well. Hold on to your gospels. The value is going up. Okay, so let's start reading the 10th overstanding, the spirit of graffiti art. They call themselves, quote, they call themselves writers because that's what they do. They write their names, among other things, everywhere. Names they've been given or have chosen for themselves. Most of all, they write in and on subway trains that carry their names from one end of the city to the other. It's called bombing, and it has equally assertive counterparts in rap music and breakdancing. Graffiti writing in New York is a vocation. Its traditions are handed down from one youthful generation to the next. To some, it's art. To most people, however, it is a plague that never ends, a symbol that we've lost control, end quote. That was Star Wars, the DVD from 1983. Make sure after this you watch Star Wars. Excellent DVD. Doesn't tell the whole story, but it's a good peek into the history of graffiti art. That was a part of it, a quote from it. Let's quote the whole, let's highlight the whole paragraph number 2. Let's highlight number 2, the whole paragraph of number 2. Know this, overstanding before you, know this, the overstanding before you is an elementary introduction to the study of graffiti art as color and light, and how these frequencies affect the psychology of hip-hoppers living in urban areas. That explains the whole thing. Let me hit you with it again. Know this, the overstanding before you is an elementary introduction. This is not the end of it, this is an intro, something to get you thinking. Introduction to the study of graffiti art as color and light, and how these frequencies affect the psychology of hip-hoppers living in urban areas. As an overstanding, it teaches spiritual truths through the language of graffiti art. Traditionally, the word graffiti, originally from the Italian term graffio, meaning a scratch. I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. Let me say it again. As an overstanding, it teaches spiritual truths through the language of graffiti art. Traditionally, the word graffiti originates from the Italian term graffio, meaning a scratch. According to the American language, graffiti is defined as a writing or drawing that is scribbled, scratched, or sprayed onto a surface. Now, highlight that whole paragraph. You really should memorize it. Not only does this first part of it explains what we're about to do, what we're about to explain here, what we're about to teach here, but the second part of it gets right down to the etymology of the word itself. And you want to be able to articulate this in a similar way. You know, this is just the knowledge of it. You could either memorize these very words or come up with your own thing based on what's being said here. As an overstanding, it teaches spiritual, no, that's not, here it is. Traditionally, the word graffiti originates from the Italian term graffio, meaning a scratch. According to the American language, graffiti is defined as a writing or drawing that is scribbled, scratched, or sprayed onto a surface. Now, what's interesting here, I always point out, are cultural similarities because they lead also to spiritual evidence of spiritual existence, cultural similarities. What is a cultural similarity? Like, for instance, when you have like some of you will remember the early teachings when we broke out the Oxford English Dictionary and we went through the etymology of hip hop. And I said according to the Oxford English Dictionary, hip hop, the word starts in 1672. The word appears in the English language in 1672 as part of a play that was portraying the second Duke of Buckingham, George Villiers, as he was being kicked out of Parliament for corruption. It was a big news of the time. Him and his father was killed, but he took over and was also thrown out for bribes, corruption. This is George Villiers, the second Duke of Buckingham, 1672. But I mention this because when you read the quote, the actual quote from 1672, it says, "To go off hip hop upon this occasion is 1,000 times better than any conclusion in the world." I gad. And notice how, now look at how I'm saying this. I'm quoting the Oxford English because I have it memorized. But the point of the matter is that this is the etymology of the word hip hop itself. It starts in 1672 with George Villiers as part of a play. And he says in the play, "To go off hip hop upon this occasion is 1,000 times better than any conclusion in the world." I gad. And so the cultural similarities in that is that the first time hip hop is mentioned in the English language in 1672, it is the best conclusion to make in the world. And this word "go off," it says, "I go off." And why would it be? What is it, just a coincidence that they use this term, I go off, and hip hop uses the same term from the south to the west to the east to the north. Come on, Spoonie G, go off, go off. Yes, yes, y'all, or we going off. The original term for breaking, you'll notice in your gospel, look at the element of breaking in our explanation of breaking in the definitions. It was originally called the go off. That's what it was originally called. Now, this is called cultural similarities. We had nothing to do with George Philares in 1672, but somehow to go off hip hop upon this occasion is the greatest conclusion in the world. That's printed, okay, in the book in 1672. We're using the same terms, and when hip hop comes into the English language, it's quoted as being the best alternative to make in one's life. And it's being quoted by somebody who's an outcast, somebody being thrown out of something, in his case, Parliament, but in our case, the American society. All these coincidences are not coincidences. We're philosophers here, so we have to pay attention to these cultural similarities. I give you this long example to bring you right here. That when you see words like graffiti this part here, traditionally, the word graffiti originates from the Italian term graffio, meaning a scratch. Now, graffiti means a scratch. That connects us right to DJ. Now, of course, they talk about scratching on the wall, but we're talking about a scratch. Okay, a scratch. How our elements are breaking and seeing graffiti art, DJing. These are our core four elements. Okay, graffiti art is connected to DJing. Interesting. Interesting. They're both scratches. One could say graffiti art is verbal DJ, is optic DJing. It's what DJing looks like. And DJing is what graffiti art sounds like. I want to mention also, make sure at the top of this, at the top of the graffiti art lesson, you write graffiti art in history, because this is beginning graffiti art in history. This begins this lesson. So this is the lesson we're dealing with. Lesson 1 in this section, graffiti art in history. However, in his book, Graffiti World, in his book, Graffiti World, Street Art from 5 Continents, Nicholas Gans writes, quote, derived from the Italian sgraffio, meaning scratch, graffiti has been around since the beginning of mankind. Pictures such as those at the Lascaux caves in France were mostly carved into cave walls with bones or tools, but early man also depicted the stencil and spray techniques. The early man also anticipated, the stencil and spray techniques, blowing colored powder through hollow bones around his hands to make silhouettes. Onto a wall makes a hand silhouette. In ancient Greece, fragments of clay were found on the notes. In ancient Greece, fragments of clay were found on which notes had been carved, while excavations in Pompeii brought to light a wealth of graffiti, including election slogans, drawings, and obscenities. Now, what's interesting about this, end quote, what's interesting about this right here is that we're not talking about, because paleoanthropologists talk about graffiti as just any scribbling or scratch onto a surface. That's paleoanthropology. And you got Neanderthals scribbling and scratching on surfaces. That's called graffiti as well. But we want to pinpoint the historical significance of what we are doing, okay, called graffiti. Now, we're still doing that Neanderthal level, because without that, there is no graffiti. The first humans, like it was mentioned, graffiti art's been going on since the beginning of humankind. Okay, from the time humans existed, they've been drawing on the wall. Imagine that. Okay, but the specific type of graffiti that we're doing, spray can art, aerosol art, blowing things onto a wall, where is that in history? It's right here. It's in Pompeii. It's in the Lascaux caves of France. And all of this, get these names, okay? Lascaux, France. There's the caves of Lascaux, France, are dated back to 32,000 years, 32,000 BC. 32,000 BC, and there's pictures of deers and other, like masterful art of deers and elephants and even some people even there with these animals, colors, all of this type of stuff. And it dates back 32,000 BC. Art is one of the beginnings of human intelligence. This is what humans were doing before colonization, war, slavery, money, commerce, trade, all of that. No, humans were drawing. Get that hunter-gatherer idea out your mind and really get down with what a real human is. Humans are artists. In every sense of the word, we're artists. So what's interesting here is that when you talk about hip hop in history, hip hop in history. When you talk about graffiti art in history, you could start, just for the sake of Western knowledge, you could start with Greece, you could start with Rome, you could start with Pompeii, which was destroyed by lava in a volcano explosion. You can start with the Lascaux caves in France. This is undeniable. It's called graffiti, and it is graffiti. The same thing the tax crew is doing is the same thing that was done in the Lascaux caves 32,000 years ago in France. Same thing. This is the connection. Graffiti art in history. And it's called graffiti art by all scientists and historians. I'm on paragraph 4. James Prigoff agrees with what I just wrote. What I just said here. Graffiti World, Street Art from 5 Continents by Nicholas Gans. He's the one who wrote that graffiti starts from mankind, what I just read to you, the Lascaux caves and so on. I'm writing now. James Prigoff agrees in the foreword of the book Graffiti LA. It's the name of his book. Graffiti LA, Street Styles and Art by Steve Grody. He writes, quote, cave dwellers drew pictures on their walls. Graffiti was uncovered in Pompeii when the lava was chipped away. Spanish conquistadors left their names on inscription rock outside of Gallup, New Mexico. Frenchmen scratched their names on the walls of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And a Navy inspector in the 1940s named Jack Kilroy drew his famous logo. Kilroy was here to indicate his completed inspection, and a funny face appeared over the wall. And a funny face appearing over the wall was co-opted by GIs all over the world. Let me stop there just for a minute. This Kilroy was here. Was an indication he completed his inspection that these places didn't have bombs and so on. You'll notice, I don't know if you noticed, the symbol that was left, the funny face that was left, is a picture. Here it is. I'm trying to get a symbol of this. In the movie Watchmen, in the opening of the movie Watchmen, there's a button with a funny face on it, and it's yellow, and it's a button. And when they throw this guy out the window in the movie, this button is somehow following him around, and it lands with blood on it and all of that. That's a famous symbol
starting from the 1940s, from a bomb inspector who used to let people know with this symbol it was safe to go into these buildings. There were not bombs in these buildings. This was a form of graffiti art that was warning people where to go, what not to do. You can't just talk or leave a sign up. You have to leave a symbol up that your people understand. And now you can move on. It looked like simple smiley face on the side of the wall to the enemy. But to your people, or to the foreigner, I should say, but to your people, you know exactly what that means. This is the spirit of graffiti art, what it means to scratch or scribble or spray something onto a surface. It's a symbol. There's a meaning to this. Why are you writing this? In regards to the art of prehistoric humans, we now know that some cave dwellers would put berry juice in their mouths and blow it onto cave wall surfaces, also using their open hands as sort of a stencil style signature. Later in human history, people would carve their names in trees, stones, and even famous ancient monuments as memories and evidence of their travels. Although many people still associate graffiti art with vandalism, the educated have always understood this to be incorrect. It is the tagging and bombing of private property that is recognized as vandalism, not graffiti art itself. Let's go ahead and underline that. Just that, don't highlight the whole thing. Just underline that word. It is the tagging and bombing of public. It is a tagging and bombing of private property that is recognized as vandalism, not graffiti art itself. As Roger O.D., and let me also elaborate to say that that's a standard within graffiti art. When we first was doing this was a standard. You don't write on churches. You know, you don't write on private homes. You don't write on cars. You know, you don't write on people, you know, like stuff like that, you know, unless you're doing tattoos, you know, this kind of thing. But, you know, there were certain things you just didn't write on. You basically wrote on public property because there's philosophy behind that if you're a taxpayer, this is basically yours as well. And people like to laugh and scoff at that, but nah. The real issue is who gets to define what is art in a society. And if we're all taxpayers in the society, why can't I, who pay for that train up there, beautify it in the way that I need to see it right now? You know it's beautiful when you see it because we did the art when it was illegal. They threw us in jail, told us we couldn't do it. Then when we were all in jail, they went ahead and did the same thing on the side of all the trains now. Not all the trains, but trains like at Disney World, trains in Las Vegas, trains in Miami, trains in other parts of the world as well. Now you can see whole top to bottom advertisements on the side of the train. That's from graffiti art. Straight up and down, that's from graffiti art. And if we don't exert our history and tell people what it is, it's going to just get co-opted into the colonial madness. And that's how your heritage is taken away from you. They just take it. They just eat heritage. But that was graffiti art. The buses were corny. The trains were corny until we started hitting them and putting color to them. Let's read on. So underline this part. It is the tagging and bombing of private property that is recognized as vandalism, not graffiti art itself. As Roger O.D. Kursmacher writes in an article entitled Graffiti, quote, the first monuments to bear modern graffiti are found in Ephesus, the ancient Greek city, which is now part of Turkey. That's not true. The earliest forms of graffiti art is in Egypt. And we have evidence of that on the temple walls. Art and words, letters and art on the temple walls 10,000 years before the letter G, let alone Greece. The letter G wasn't even in existence, okay? That was crazy, okay? So, no, this is not together true. But when you're talking to Western people and they like to hear their history, you know, scholars, I'm not talking about just white people, all scholars trained in the Western, this is what they want to hear. And this is why we put it here, okay? On more deeper lessons, we can get into the Maya, who also had the Mexican culture, that all of that graffiti, crazy graffiti going on over there. But obviously, you got to read through the colonialism, and that's an overlining message throughout this whole thing. You got to read through the colonialism and get right to the truth. So let's read. The first monuments to bear modern graffiti are found in Ephesus, the Greek city, which is now part of Turkey. Graffiti was earlier considered an act of vandalism, but in time has added significant information to the archaeological study. It originally referred to writings and pictures drawn on sidewalks or the outer walls of buildings without permission of the owner of the building. The Romans used graffiti as an art form and carved it on monuments as well as their own walls for various purposes, end quote. Now, the reason why this is here, like again, this is good to quote in front of Western audiences that understand Pompeii and Rome and so on. But as I just mentioned to you, Neanderthals were doing graffiti. So graffiti don't start with no Greece and no Rome, okay? Look through the colonialism, okay? From the beginning of humankind, graffiti's been going on. Paragraph 7, as mentioned in the gospel at a later overstanding, we'll get to this later, I'm going to mention it here, regarding the origin of hip-hop, Paul Strathern in his book, Napoleon in Egypt, writes about Napoleon taking part in excursions to the pyramids and the ancient ruins at Giza, quote, where evidence of these visits remain to this day in the form of soldiers' names and other graffiti carved into the upper stones of the pyramids, inside the burial chambers, and on other ruins, end quote. And they're writing on the pyramids of Egypt. They're doing graffiti they're arguing with us because we're putting our names up on subway cars, and their heritage is putting their names up on the pyramids of Giza. You talk about defacing property. Okay, Napoleon ain't got nothing to do with the Sphinx, and he's also accused of blowing the nose off the Sphinx with target practice. It's debated. It's debated because, as we'll go further into this, the nose of the Sphinx was already defaced by Islamic forces about 100 years before Napoleon. Islamic forces, Arabs coming in, used to destroy African architecture and use it to make their buildings. This is just history, war history. So anyway, you get me off into something else. But Napoleon's in Egypt defacing African property. He's putting his name up on the Sphinx and on the pyramids in Giza. And the book is called Napoleon in Egypt, is what they write. So Mr. Strathern goes on to cite the journal of a young corporal named Francois, who recalled how he inscribed his name, place of birth, and rank, quote, in the royal chamber on the right of the sarcophagus in the second pyramid, end quote. Graffiti writing has always been part of human expression, and although graffiti writing in and of itself predates the cultural formation of hip-hop in the 1970s, it is hip-hop that has given graffiti art and its artists a healthy cultural environment in which to grow and thrive. Now we're going to highlight 9, 10, just 9 and 10. We're highlighting 9 and 10. Highlight this, 9 and 10. Graffiti was a term given to hip-hop's graphic art animation when it appeared legally and illegally on public and private properties as tags, a form of street calligraphy which presents the identity of one's name or neighborhood in a stylized way. Similar to the way MCing was labeled rap and breaking was labeled break dancing, the terms writing, bombing, piecing, burning, and tagging all have been categorized and labeled graffiti. This is very important to know. This is part of the scholarship. The hip-hop community never labeled as graphic art graffiti. We simply called it writing, piecing, burning, bombing, and or tagging. And those who those who practice graffiti art were called writers. Because of this, many hip hoppers have chosen to call their art aerosol art, urban mural, spray can art, and modern hieroglyphics, or modern hieroglyphs. Still, many hip hoppers use the term graffiti art because most people recognize this term, which has become a respected artistic expression in many of the world's urban centers. And the highlight. That's a very important explanation as to how we, the Temple of Hip Hop, and other scholars, but we, the Temple of Hip Hop, explain graffiti art in this way. So highlight that, 9 and 10. Moving on to 11. Graffiti art, as we know it today, is believed to have been born in Philadelphia and New York in the 1960s as a form of self-advertisement. In New York, early pieces appeared on the sides of subway transportation, on the side of public transportation and public housing in the mid-1970s, bearing a variety of street names and or other socio-political messages that spoke to the collective consciousness of an ignored sect of people, hip-hoppers, living in the inner city. And notice the spelling on inner city. This is that double metaphor language that we use at the Temple of Hip Hop. Yes, we're talking about the inner city urban areas, but when spelled like this, we're also talking about how you're dealing with yourself inside the inner city. Regardless of race, class, or ethnicity, modern graffiti art, as we know it today, gave expression and even social existence to the ignored underclass of urban America. Quote, "This is because nationality, race, and sex have no bearing on the graffiti scene," end quote, says Nicholas Gans. Juan Flores, in a 1987 article entitled Rapping, Writing, and Breaking, points out that, quote, "Determining the relative ethnic sources of subway graffiti is the most complicated of all, partly because the first subway writer to attract media attention was Taki, T-A-K-I, Taki, who is Greek American, and became some of the best subway and became some of the best subway artists. I'm sorry. It says because, and I'm reading became. Interesting perception. Let me read this again. Quote, "Determining the relative ethnic sources of subway graffiti is the most complicated of all, partly because the first subway writer to attract media attention was Taki, who is Greek American, and because some of the best subway artists are youths of Italian and other national origins. There is clearly an important working class basis to the graffiti movement that should not be overlooked. Nevertheless, a majority of the practitioners are Black and Puerto Rican, and graffiti experts like Henry Chalfant and Manny Kirchheimer agree that most of the early styles originated with the Puerto Ricans," end quote. Now look at that. This is an important piece. Not only is this a famous 1987 article by Juan Flores, okay, rapping, writing, and breaking, but take a look at, we're talking about graffiti art in history, okay? And it talks about the popular view is this Greek American dude named Taki 183. That's the popular view. And there's a movie done on him and all of this. He was in the newspapers and all of that. And he's Greek. You go to Star Wars and you'll see dope graffiti artists like Scene and Quick and all of these dudes up there, all white, Italian dudes, Greek dudes, okay? So we see right away the non-racial, like hip hop is beyond that. We're not interested in black, white, red, yellow, brown. We're interested in breaking, emceeing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing. Imagine these as races. And matter of fact, race is stupid and illusionary. So imagine these as communities of people, not grouped together by skin complexion, but grouped together by the content of their artistic character. That's how we're grouped together. What's your race? What's your tribe? Forget race, forget tribe. What's your community? What's your nation even? What's your family? Right. What family you come from? I'm from the MCing family. Somebody right next to me could be Asian. Asian woman jumped on the stage yesterday. You saw that? Asian woman jumped right on your beat yesterday. You saw it, Simone? She jumped right on Asian chick. I didn't even get her name or nothing. She came out, she had a copy of Ruminations. Actually jumped on stage when I called the MCs up. She came up with Ruminations. Young Asian woman. Grabbed the mic, spit the raw. Got the respect of the crowd and disappeared. Crazy, okay? But this is hip hop. And she's in a crowd with white people, black people, Latino people. Nobody gave her nothing about nobody color. At this particular moment, where's your skill? That's how you're going to get this respect right now. We need to see the skill, not no skin complexion. And this is what makes hip hop so magnificent as a socio-political tool for justice. We already doing it right now. We already transcended race, gender. I said it was a woman, Asian woman. This ain't about no dudes huddled up in a corner. It's about everybody expressing themselves in this particular medium, which is MCing, which was last night. But in this medium, you can see they're talking about, wait a minute, they got Greek Americans doing the graffiti, Italian Americans, Black folk are dominating it, but Puerto Ricans are at the front of it. Take a look at this. Take a look at that. And you got to be able to stretch your mind around that kind of cultural interpretation. Get your mind out of that colonial nonsense where people are grouped together by skin complexion or by race and ethnicity and all of this type of stuff. This is all colonial. This is all backwards thinking. This is has nothing to do with who you are inside, your skin complexion. It has nothing to do with who you are. And that's what hip hop really wants to know. Who are you? What are you about? And so we come with 9 elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. Which family are you? And some of us are part of 3 or 4 or 5 of these families. I'm part of all 9 of these families, okay? I just mentioned GSIMONE with the street entrepreneurialism family. And there's a family of hip-hoppers that's about this money. Don't get it twisted. There's a family of hip-hoppers that are about this money. I remember we were talking about it the other day. I said, we got to get down with lowercase hip-hop. We've been preaching uppercase hip hop as consciousness, spelling hip hop as one word, H-I-P, uppercase H, lowercase I-P, H-O-P, one word, looks like hip-hop, which is collective consciousness. We've been discussing that for the last year. Now we went on and said hip hop, capital H, lowercase I-P, space, capital H, lowercase O-P, that's culture. We've been expressing that as well. But when do you get a chance to express lowercase h-I-p dash or space, lowercase h-o-p, lowercase hip hop, which is hip hop as rap music, hip hop as entertainment, as artistic expression, as all of that? When do you get down to that? And that's where we at right now. Drop the album, IMAMCRU12. That's lowercase hip hop. I'm down there, y'all. I'm going to rise again. But right now, I'm down with this lowercase hip hop right now because we're doing the entertainment aspect of it. We're not just talking about this, we're actually doing it. And as teachers, that's very important. It's very important. Matter of fact, you know what? Damn, y'all just made me do this. I got to do it to you right now because I just said it. You can't just teach this. You got to actually express it, which is a very important point with hip hop, with the teaching of hip hop. It's not just about this talk. It's about actually doing it. What I want to do real quick is just connect you real quick. Hold this thought. I'm going to come back to paragraph 14. I'm going to come back to paragraph 14. But what I want you to do is go to the freestyles, the overstanding just before this. Go to March 6th. Today is March 6th, yeah?
Yes.
Go to March 6th. Just maybe look at this real quick. I'm deviating, but it's important that you get this lesson. And plus, it's only the last lesson. So get this lesson real quick. I'm deviating, but it's important and you'll see why. When I'm talking about expressing yourself, today is March 6th, right? Just made me remember this because I read this for my affirmation today. The teacher that only talks begins to ramble, but the teacher that really teaches speaks through example. And this is so important in the reading of the graffiti art section, because this is about doing now. This is about expression now, something pressing inside, revealing its truth. You can't just read this now. You can't just memorize this now. You got to express this now. And it just so happens that today is March 6th. And when you look at the freestyles today, March 6th, the rhyme of the day is, the teacher that only talks begins to ramble, but the teacher that really teaches speaks through example. And you can freak that in any way you want. But that's the point is, don't just talk, do. Don't just teach, express the mastery of your teaching. Now, as I deviate here with that, keep that on your mind, because this affirmation goes with the whole of the graffiti art section. As I was explaining last week, I said that every 7 days is a fast day. I just want to show you this real quick because it goes into that as well. Go to March 3rd real quick. March 3rd is the 7th day. Now notice how March 3rd is it starts the 3rd day of the month, right? Because 7 days before that was another 7th day. But I want to show you this real quick so that you're not confused. March 3rd is the 7th day. So March 4th, okay, is the first day. Count. March 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and the 7th day is March 10th. And we read, what exactly shall I fast from today? My eating, my thinking, my work, or my play? And you'll notice that I mentioned our fasting at the Temple of Hip Hop is not always a food fast. We fast from spending money. We fast from talking. We fast from being around certain people and places. Of course, we fast from our cravings, our temptations. We fast from addictions. We fast from these things as well. But you'll notice it says, what exactly shall I fast from today? My eating, my thinking, my working, or my playing? Like which one of these am I going to fast from today? Okay. And notice that it's a fast day on March. So from the 4th, which is day 1 in that sense, you go all the way to the 10th, and now you decide, what am I going to fast from? And then if you go from the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. What is the 17th? The 7th day. And it says, when fasting, never sound depressed in your voice. Prayer and fasting are times to rejoice. And you'll notice then you start March 18th, and that's 1, 2, go another 7 days, and you're going to see another fast. And each of these rhymes are set in every 7 days for a fast, for you to abstain from something. So I had to just put that on you from last week's lesson, because you took me to March 6th, which is about this week's lesson. Let's now return to our paragraph. I'm on page 441, and I'm continuing now at paragraph 14. Although among many hip-hop scholars, it is graffiti writer Phase 2, who not only did flyers with and for Cool DJ Herc, but who is also credited as being the father of the bubble letter style, as well as graffiti writer Cornbread from Philadelphia, credited with popularizing the tag, and Case 2 for the introduction of the computer rock style, along with Tracy 168, who popularized the famous Wild style. Puerto Ricans are still regarded as the face of early subway graffiti art. It's a respect that they just gained. Even KRS-ONE got his early start in graffiti writing from a young Puerto Rican graph writer named Zor. One of my best friends, a guy named Louis, actually was his name Louis, but his graffiti name was Zor. Later commissioned and even KRS-ONE got his early start in graffiti writing from a young Puerto Rican graph writer named Zor, and later commissioned several pieces from Cope 2 and the world famous Tats crew. However, Craig Castleman, in his book Getting Up, warns against any biased attempts to approach graffiti writing as exclusively Puerto Rican. Juan Flores, however, points to Felipe Luciano, leader of the Young Lords and original member of the Last Poets, who would, quote, associate the pictorial medium, graffiti, with the Puerto Rican remote Taino legacy and call to mind the Chicano mural and placa movement as a parallel indigenous experience. Let me read this again, because these are key movements. These are key artistic movements. You may want to look them up. Quote, associate the pictorial medium, graffiti with the Puerto Rican remote Taino legacy. The Taino people was wiped out completely, but they had an art. Okay. The Taino legacy, T-A-I-N-O legacy, Taino legacy, and call to mind the Chicano mural and placa movement, P-L-A-C-A movement, as a parallel, going right along, indigenous experience. Very important there. But we're highlighting the next one, 17. We're highlighting 17. Mr. Flores also points to Norman Mailer, another famous journalist and writer. Norman Mailer, in a 1974 article entitled The Faith of Graffiti, where Mr. Mailer describes graffiti writing as, quote, a movement which began as the expression of tropical peoples living in a monotonous iron gray and dull brown brick environment surrounded by asphalt, concrete, and clangor. End quote. Graffiti, and I would add this to say that in this area, it says that this is he said the graffiti art comes from, and that's why it's important that this article is in here, because we're talking about the spirit of it. It comes from tropical people. This is coming from a tropical people, Puerto Ricans and Chicanos, and these are tropical, well, Chicanos is a different situation, but a hot climate people, should say. This is where graffiti art comes. This is bright colors. Barbados, Cuba, Puerto Rico, even Spain in Europe and Italy in Europe and Morocco, that whole coast, that whole area up there, bright colors. And this is the culture coming in. We get some dark gray craziness, and your culture saying brighten it up. Reading on, and we're highlighting all of this, the whole 17. The effort to brighten up and electrify one's environment while at the same time expressing one's view of oneself and of one's environment and of one's existence within one's environment is the origin of modern graffiti art. Ding! Let me hit you with that one more time. This is a mouthful. The effort to brighten up and electrify one's environment while at the same time expressing one's view of oneself and one's environment and of one's existence within one's environment is the origin of modern graffiti art. Highlight that. 18. Most children still seem to begin their writing experiences by writing upon any available wall space. It seems that upright writing upon walls and the need to describe oneself and environment through art has a lot to do with the development of human intelligence. Hip hoppers saw themselves as the brightly displayed color schemes of graffiti art long before the introduction of rap videos and computer-generated graphic art. Like, in other words, we used to stand in front of a graffiti piece, like long before we was even recording anything. The environment, the mood to spit your rhyme was to get in front of a graffiti piece. The mood to do your breaking was to get in front of a graffiti piece. This was the mood. Now video does that mood for us. We get in front of a camera and a green screen and we can put anything behind it. That's what the green screen is now our backdrop, and we can put anything back there, kind of thing. We're highlighting 19, 20, and 21. Highlighting 19, 20, and 21. The ability to imagine and interpret oneself through art assists in the development of a healthy, creative intelligence and helps us to see the possibilities of our specialized group. Our ability to communicate to one another tells us who we are. For hip hoppers, graffiti art is the highest form of calligraphy. It is our true handwriting. It is our first written communication code. It tells us and the world who we are and where we've been. This is what graffiti art means to us. Today, graffiti art remains one of hip-hop's most influential self-promotion techniques in urban areas everywhere. Not only does it report what is going on in urban areas, it also interprets the character of what is going on in urban areas. And this is important because this is how you look at graffiti art. You know, you go to an art exhibit and they used to baffle us young kids. We go to the art exhibit and somebody's up there reading, they say, yes, and the art, they say, yes, and this art is from this, and look at the color, and look at the light. And we're looking at this like, this is corny. I don't know why I'm even looking at this, but they're calling it fine art. And they're looking at it in a certain way. So if you don't know the language of fine art, which is really the language of light and color, that you're looking at how the artist made the light and all of this type of stuff, fine art. You looking like you missing out on something. Like, wow, I don't know how to look at art. I don't know how to do that. And so on. Snap out of it. Okay. What makes one thing fine art and something else not fine art is who got the gun to your head. Okay, that's it. Okay, your baby scribbling on comes home with your son or daughter coming home with a first grade scribbling on, or you know, for our parents out there, you know, the kids come home with some artwork they did, some craziness they done did in school, but it's their self-expression, and they brought it home, and they got an A for their thing, and they're proud of their art, and this is what it is. If a military came around and said, but wait a minute, I'll kill you if you don't say this art is right, and they don't say it like that, they just say, this is the art of the prince. And everybody goes, ooh. And you look and say, this is fine art. Look at how his finger moved across the thing. Look at the colors he chose. He didn't choose no colors. He was a kid banging on something and made some art, tried to figure himself out, but because he's the prince, because she's the princess, because she's the queen, because he's the king, now it becomes fine art. What makes Michelangelo's art fine art? I know that for me, the Tats crew is better than Michelangelo. I'll challenge anybody on that. That's me, okay? Because culturally, that's what you want to see. Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. Why? Because they painted for popes. They painted for kings. And this is why we know of them. This is why their art can last. Because the same people blowing up your art, ripping you, stealing your art, destroying your monuments are the people whose art stays up for 200 years, 100 years. Right, nobody blew up the Vatican yet. And I'm not even suggesting anything like that. But, no, you know, how can your art stay up for 200 years unaffected, and everybody else in the world, when you go to see their museums, their art is broken, ripped, burned, all the sculptures are broken, chipped, we only getting fragments of stuff. You can see the explosion that went on in culture, and then you can see others whose art is pristine over 200 years. This spells out the guilt. This spells out the crime of colonialism against indigenous cultures. Anybody holding on to their art over 200 years is the colonist that is destroying other people's art. Keep that in mind as well when you're reading art and you looking at art. What's fine art? Well, whatever white folks say fine art is. Why aren't the pieces of Phase 2 or Cope 2 or Band 2 or Delta or Scene or Quick or Duster or any of these dudes, why are their paintings and murals not held at such high esteem as Michelangelo? That's because the president of the United States doesn't have an original Scene piece in the White House, and it's shown every once in a while when the camera fly by. You see a graffiti piece up in the White House that was an original graffiti piece by somebody, by some artist, you know, pretty sweet original graffiti piece by Zephyr. Futura 2000 graffiti piece. Actually, Futura would probably have furniture. These dudes got into the furniture. Zephyr and them, and some other dudes got into furniture, but why not? You know, and why? But that's the reason why. If the president, if the leader of a nation says this is fine art and I'm going to support this, it becomes fine art and everybody supports it. And if the same leader says, no, that's graffiti and we don't deal with that, there's no exhibitions of it, no state sponsorship of it, no hailing up, nothing, then it becomes that secondary art. And that's where we are right now. The United States government doesn't hail us up as a fine art form. They say it's vandalism. And what's whack is that if you're going to call art vandalism, then tell us where we can do the art. You know, offer us buildings like they do in France and Germany and other places throughout Europe. They say, look, we don't want you writing on everything. So take this whole mile-long area of industrial whatever that we're never going to do anything with, but has mad wall space, and turn this into a graffiti village. You know how many shows I've done like this? Countless shows where I went to areas where it was cool to do graffiti, skateboard, smoke your weed, do whatever you got to do. Cops ain't coming, nobody around, and the government knows that's where that goes down at. And we could with that. That's a real nation. They're not trying to lock their kids up. They just say, do that shit over there. Okay, not here in the town center. And if we catch you writing on something in the city, we have the right to break your fingers, okay? Because we gave you a space to really get it off. And the spaces be dope too. They be by train. Like the government people know you want to be by the train, you want to be by this over here, and they give their people that space. We should petition or get some lobbyists to petition the United States government and say, listen, you know, graffiti art is American born as well. Or at least the graffiti that the world is doing is American born. Graffiti is human characteristics. But these bubble letters and the way we doing our thing, the way we doing it, no, that was born here in Philadelphia and New York. You know what I'm saying? So why are we not more celebrated, you know, in that sense? Okay, I'm going off into something else. The Mona Lisa is whack. The Mona Lisa is boring, and I'm not dissing. I mean, all artists work. I'm not dissing no artists work, but it's like, nah, come on. My culture don't see no beauty, and that's supposed to be the most beautiful woman. Nah, please get a picture of my wife up there. That's what I need to see. Like, that, come on, that, you know. But because somebody said the Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, someone made you. You know what I'm saying? So I said, excuse me, hon. You look nice. Big up the Slick Rick. Anyway, and
every little kid looks at that and it's like, what are you talking about?
Right. No kid sees that as beauty. None.
Right. It's just literally no, but this is it.
Right. This is beauty. This is what it is. And if your mind is that locked in to your grade school education, you'll say, okay. And try to look like that. Try to aspire to be that. trying to, this kind of thing. So come on, we got to read through the colonialism. That's what this is also about. And that's what I tell you, it's a deep lesson, is graffiti writing. Okay, it's not just about spraying something on a wall. The spirit of this is deep. Let's continue. Oh, I'm sorry. We're in the middle of highlighting 19, 20, and 21. Okay, so 20 is how you look at graffiti art. So if you go to a graffiti art exhibition, or you go to the Temple of Hip Hop's hip hop exhibition, which is going to be going out with my tour coming up a few more months. If in fact you are there, this is how you look at graffiti art, at least how we look at graffiti art. Today, graffiti art remains one of hip hop's most influential self-promotion techniques in urban areas everywhere. Okay, so right away when you're looking at graffiti, what are you looking at? You want to see who the artist is. The artist is promoting him or her, his or herself. That's not ego. That's not I'm trying to just present myself. It's not vanity. It's part of the art. Get this, okay? You want to know, like the way you hear a song, you say, who's the artist? You see a graffiti piece, first you should say, who is it? And if you really want to get savvy and you say, oh, it's this person, that gives you the history of where this whole thing is coming from, who this person is connected to, what teachers they had, where they're coming from, and you can now judge the art. Oh, they're coming from the Tats crew. That's Bio style right there. That's Brim style. That's how they do that. Oh, and did he do it right? Did she come with the colors? Did she come with it? Now you know how to read it first. The first part. Today, graffiti art remains one of hip hop's most influential self-promotion techniques in urban areas everywhere. How did the artist present herself? That's one. Here's two. Not only does it report what is going on in urban areas, it also interprets the character of what is going on in urban areas. Graffiti art displays and interprets the sunshine of sunshine, the policing of the police, the crime of the criminal, the happiness of happiness. So get that. It's not just you just draw a cop. You draw the policing. What is he doing? What story are you trying to tell? What you just don't draw him there. When you draw the sunshine, you don't just draw yellow and white if you choose those colors to shine the sun. What is the sunshine of the sunshine? What is it? Do you see beads of sweat? You see the sunshine and it's shining on a figure, but do you see the bead of sweat, the shine? Do you see the shine off the skin? The sunshine of the sunshine. What is the meaning of the sunshine? How does the sunshine affect the whole picture? Why is the sunshine there? What's the symbol of the sunshine? That's what we want to know when we look at a graffiti piece. Why is each piece there? How do they connect? What is the artist trying to say? How is the artist even promoting himself? Because it's really about the artist emceeing on a piece of paper or in a mural, I should say. The artist is emceeing. Just the way the MC is painting art in your mind. The MC is painting movies in your mind. I'm talking this crazy. And you seeing it in your mind. So the graffiti writer is doing the same thing in reverse. When I look at this, what do I see? What am I being drawn to? What is this? Finish it up. Paragraph 21. Graffiti art is visual overstanding. Again, graffiti art is visual overstanding. Graffiti art doesn't just report, it interprets the character of what it is reporting. It seeks to interpret the substance of what is said to exist. The substance, the essence, the meaning. Graffiti art is beautiful because it reflects and interprets the beautiful ideas already existing in the hip hopper's mind. That ends the highlight. Moving on to 22. Now stop here. This is the beginning of a new lesson. We just ended the history of graffiti art in history. That ends at paragraph 21. Now we're going into lesson 2. Why graffiti art exists for us. This is now lesson 2. Why graffiti art exists for us. The first part is graffiti art in history. And notice I'm quoting books, pieces, this kind of thing. This is the beginning where we start to use other people's material into this. We use it early as well, like the quote of Dr. King. I quote other books as well within the gospel of hip hop, but this is where it starts to get heavy because you're now going into the scholarship now. You now need to have retrievable data, which is found in books and other stuff. You need to have verifiable evidence, which is also found in certain graffiti books that shows you the art, this kind of thing. And so that was the history, just a quick, brief history. We mentioned graffiti art as early human self-expression, We went to the caves of Lascaux in France. We went to Pompeii. I went also to Africa and to not only hieroglyphs in the caves of Africa, but also the Mayan tradition as well. We looked at the Taino and Placa, Chicano traditions as well. This is history. This is graffiti art in history, and it's more. This is just a surface look when you're articulating graffiti art. Come from this point of view, not just we writing on walls. No, take them back to Pompeii. Take them back to Neanderthals and Homo heidelbergensis and early humans doing the art. Take them back to the Placa movement. Take them back to the Chicano movement. Take them over to the Puerto Ricans. Take them over to Taki and the Greeks and the Italians. Huge influence on this. This is how we teach our graffiti art in history. Now move on. At paragraph 22, we start the new lesson. Why graffiti art exists for us. Here's why. Through graffiti art, the true hip hopper can actually see how hip hop affects subjects and objects on all levels. Graffiti art manipulates and expands letters in the same way that MC and rap manipulates and expands language. Did you get that? Other artists from other cultural, political experiences may be comfortable with the environment and or political condition of their lives, and their art may reflect such contentment. You eating every day, you good, you chilling. However, in our time, hip hoppers are not comfortable with their political condition, and this is why graffiti art exists. This is why it exists. We ain't comfortable with it, and this is not why it exists as a human expression. This is why it exists as an urban art form, because you ain't listening, because you're not hearing me. You're trying to say my life don't matter. You're trying to say I don't exist. So I'm gonna put my name on the side of your train. You can't even do that. I'm gonna show you my mastery. Our cultural voice is never truly heard for what it is. We must always conform to the traditions, customs, and laws of those who seek to exploit us and our resources. In this modern American society, you have to accept some sort of exploitation just to be heard. And this is real. For us, you got to accept some kind of exploitation to be heard. Somebody got to rip you off. Somebody got to be getting the lion's share of the money. Somebody got to be, just for you to now get your career off the ground. In our time, hip hoppers are rarely accepted for who we are. This is why graffiti art, different from other art forms, is politically rebellious. We have something to say. Our art not only tells the world who we are, it also reminds us of who we are. Graffiti art is the true hip hop mirror. It is what true hip hoppers really look like inside. Underline this next paragraph. Underline this. One of the purposes of graffiti art is to unite the hip hopper with her true hip hop self. And on an even deeper level, graffiti art helps the hip hopper join nature through art. Underline that. I'm going to say it again. Underline that. One of the purposes of graffiti art is to unite the hip hopper to her true hip hop self. And notice the spellings here. And on an even deeper level, graffiti art helps the hip hopper join nature through art. As an example, for the advanced hip hop graffiti artist to draw a tree identically to how the tree actually appeared in nature is to kill the tree in her art. For the advanced graffiti artist, this is not art in a creative sense. This is photography in a duplicating sense. When an advanced graffiti artist draws a tree, the term draw literally becomes to attract. The advanced graffiti artist, when drawing the tree, joins the tree in the drawing. Here, graffiti art unites the artist's inner vision to the tree's outer image. At this level, at the deeper levels of graffiti art, to simply draw what you see is to separate yourself from nature and conform to the world's interpretation of reality. Graffiti art is about hip hop's interpretation of the world. It is not the only thing that graffiti art is about, but the graffiti artist who is concerned with expressing hip hop's point of view in the world, as well as to other hip hoppers, seeks to tell our cultural story and or convey our hip hop political messages through art. Beyond being just artists, we are art activists. This is the difference between graffiti art and regular, everyday, just graphic art or art. Some people are comfortable with their lives. Some people, their culture is cool. They got a military. They're not being hunted by the police. They're not being oppressed in education and housing and medical. They're good. We ain't from that culture. Most of the people in hip hop are the people who have been outcast and you don't want to hear nothing from. So we got to write on the side of your train or yell on the microphone to some bombastic beat in order for you to hear us. So our art reflects this condition on our culture. Being ignored makes graffiti art vibrant and colorful because we want to be seen. And not seen just by some people who don't want to see us. We want to see ourselves in our reality. And we see ourselves in our reality bright and colorful. We don't see ourselves as dull. As artists, we do not exclusively create art for art's sake. When I attended art school for a little while, I must say. The Art Student League on 57th Street in New York. Me and Zor actually went there for a summer course. And then they were talking about, we're doing art for art's sake. You do art just for the art. We was like, get out of here. But at the end of the day, as artists, we do not exclusively create art for art's sake. Our political condition does not give us the leisure to just create art that has no other purpose than to be gazed upon. That's the rich folk. They do that stuff. I'm drawing this thing, so look at it. Interpret it. Interpretive art. We ain't got no time for that. I mean, we'll get to it, but right now we're trying to save our lives. This dude's shooting at us. So look, we got to draw something that relieves that pressure or warns our people about that pressure. As artists, we do not exclusively create art for art's sake. Our political condition does not give us the leisure to create art that has no purpose, has no other purpose than to be gazed upon. Our art tells our story. Yes, as artists, we create arts of aesthetic value, of beauty and all of that. Yes, we do that. However, the aesthetics of the oppressed are different from those of the oppressor, even different from those who do not feel the sting of oppression at all. When the advanced graffiti writer draws what is in front of her, it is her soul that unites with the object for the purpose of telling a much needed story or expressing the alternative, unrealized potential of whatever is drawn. like hip hop itself. And different from an average artist, the graffiti artist transforms the common meaning of subjects and objects to fit the ideas of the rejected and ignored hip hop mind. This is the whole point. Why are we doing graffiti? Because you're trying to ignore our mind. Why are we doing graffiti? Because we self-expressing in a place to try to ignore us. Why are we doing graffiti? Because we exist. From a graffiti art point of view, when you are united with the tree, this is going back to that example. From a graffiti art point of view, when you are united with the tree, for example, through your art, you are in harmony with nature. When you copy the tree without adding to it or interpreting it symbolically, you diminish its value. Like MCs, graffiti writers are storytellers in the good sense of that word. Storytellers. Graffiti art reflects our inner emotions and desires. It is who we are on the inside that is displayed on our outer surface. The question for every graffiti artist is, quote, what is the meaning of my art? What am I trying to say? End quote. Other artists refrain from giving their art any meaning or purpose at all, and this is fine as well. But the political duty of every culturally aware graph writer in our time is to expand and express the collective point of view of the hip-hop consciousness. Spiritually, hip-hoppers are attracted to the colors of graffiti art because such colors are emanating from our inner being. In fact, to recognize and interpret the beauty and meaning of graffiti art, one must carry this unique beauty and meaning within oneself. Stop here. So when we say why graffiti art exists for us, why does graffiti art exist? And go ahead and put does on that. Go ahead and put a does on that because I can't get it here. Why does graffiti art exist for us? Go ahead and put the does on it. I'm going to make my note here as well. Okay. So when we ask the question, why does graffiti art exist for us? We get the question answered right here from 22 to 31. This is the answer right here. Because why does graffiti art exist for us? Because you're trying to ignore us. Because society's trying to ignore us and we're trying to get heard. Why is graffiti art exist for us? It's self-promotion. It's self-promotion. And how do you read graffiti art? You read it as that. What is the artist saying about himself, herself, and then what is the story in this piece? Even if you just see an artist's name, how did they freak the name? The way they freak the name is telling you about them. Is telling you about who they are and how they express themselves or how they like you to see things. This is why. Why does graffiti art exist for us? Because we have an alternative way of viewing the world that just ain't black, white, and gray.
Can I add something?
Add to that.
Historical record.
And historical record. Why? You know what? You got to put that in. You got to put that in. As a matter of fact, but we said graffiti art in history. That was the first lesson. But it leaks over to why does that's a second answer. Why does graffiti art exist for us? Because it's historical record. So let's take that in. Minister Sun One just adds that to us. Why is graffiti art exist for us? Because it's historical record.
Proves our existence that we were here.
It proves our existence. It proves that we were here. And this is real because some of the early ideas of graffiti or putting your name up was, I was here. Someone will say, Larry was here. Mike was here. Jane was here. This is one of the early parts here. Interesting. This is something to think about. But yes, so I'm running that down. So that lesson ends right here. And now we begin lesson 3. Color and light effects on perception. It should be well, no, it's just what it is. Color and light effects, like color and like light effects and color effects on psychology. Light and color effects on psychology. So we're going to talk now about how light and color affect psychology, affects how you see. This is how we teach graffiti art. That's why I said, keep this to the temple of hip hop. Those that are teachers that have been trained in this particular study, this is how we get down, because this is how what has worked for us. Lesson 3 starts at 32, at paragraph 32. This is now a new lesson. This is now lesson 3. To fully understand graffiti art, one must be living in the conditions of the graffiti artist. If you ain't living in the conditions of graffiti artists, you're going to think it's just vandalism and don't even know how to read it. However, to begin correctly understanding the spirit of graffiti art and its revolutionary uses within the inner city, one must have knowledge of the social and spiritual interpretations of color and light. What does this mean? Know this, as explained earlier, the material world responds to and is created by light. That was an endarkenment. Various shades of light and color react upon the intelligence of human beings growing toward light and color. We react to light and color in psychological, physiological, and sociological manners because in essence, we are all made of light. The definitions of color react upon the psychology of the hip-hopper based upon the believed definition of the color view. Colors also have their own physiologically effects upon the body, regardless of sociological definition. Did you hear what I just said? That's chromotherapy. Modern science tells us that it is the sun that radiates the colors we are accustomed to seeing. These colors are orange. These colors are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. Violet. The color white is believed to have all of these colors in its radiance, but the color white is actually none of these colors. It is believed that all of these colors together form the white light of the sun, and that it is the color black that absorbs most of these colors. The eye sees the color of an object based upon the color that the viewed object cannot absorb. Now we're talking about frequencies here and how energy is going on to matter, and the matter is absorbing all of the light, and the light that the matter cannot absorb, it throws it off, it rejects it. I'm wearing a black jacket. I'm wearing a black jacket. That means the color in this room, this material, this matter has, or the dye actually, has absorbed all the other colors in this room, have absorbed all of the other colors except black. And it throws it off. So it makes it look black, because what the color that you see is the color that is being rejected by whatever is absorbing the color. Are you still here? Let's read on. For example, a lemon appears yellow because as a material object, it has absorbed all the other colors such as green, blue, red, and yellow. Green, blue, red, and violet. Now look at this. As a material object, it has absorbed all the other colors such as blue, green, red, violet, but does not absorb yellow. So it rejects or throws it off. What we see in terms of color is what is being rejected by the viewed object. Certain colors, when combined with other colors, create even more colors, like brown, pink, and indigo. You know, brown, pink, and indigo are not natural or are not original. They are combinations of other colors. All colors have their psychological effects upon the awareness of the viewer, but there are also physiological effects as well. Blue, for example, upon the nervous system can cause physical contractions or tightening of the muscles for some people. Yet with other people, blue is a soothing, peaceful, and meditative color. Blue is commonly believed to be a cold color, whereas red is believed to be a warm color. Psychologically, red can stimulate one's mentality. Orange is a lively color that can stimulate the pulse rate, but does not overly affect blood pressure. Now, keep in mind, this is from medical journals. I got this straight from medical journals. This is what they know color does to your body. This is what is known, okay? We don't pay attention to it, but this is how color is affecting your physiology, and it's very subtle. It's very subtle. It's not that when you walk in a room, you're being affected. Well, sometimes you are, but it's like living in the same room for 10 years with the same color. You have to like, look at that. You know, like, how is this hitting me? Why are school buses yellow? Why are the walls in hospitals white? These are affecting your intelligence and what you're able to see. Yellow can stimulate one's mentality when it is time to study. Keep in mind that these are the general interpretations of colors. Other people, based upon other life experiences, can experience different effects. Know thyself. Green can be a sedative to the nervous system and can cause deep sleep. It can cause sleep or relaxation. You want to get some sleep, surround yourself with green. In others, it can cause prolonged depression. So be careful with that. Lastly, violet is believed to stimulate the heart and lungs. These definitions of color show there are commonly believed medical effects upon the nervous system in a natural environment. However, within the inner cities, look at the spelling, color and light take on different meanings. Out in the street, color and light is used a little differently. Let's run it down. Red, of the color ranging from that of blood to deep pink or orange. Flushed in the face with shame, anger, etc. Now, keep in mind, these are common. This is what the common definitions of colors are from a variety of dictionaries and the common uses of color. Red, of the color ranging from that of blood to deep pink or orange, flushed in the face with with shame, anger, etc. Having to do with bloodshed, burning, violence, or revolution. Commonly, red is defined with fire, danger, war, and the command to stop. Now, red is also associated with love, but we didn't get there yet. And that wasn't even in the definitions of the common definition. Orange, roundish, reddish, yellow, juicy, citrus fruit, commonly associated with the sun. Orange, even though the sun is white. Yellow, the color of buttercups, lemons, and egg yolks. Yellow, cowardly, craven, gutless. These are the standard definitions. So we calling ourselves these colors, you know, brown, black, yellow, all this stuff. This is what it really comes down to. What is wrong with this thing? Okay, here we go. Yellow, okay. The color of buttercups, lemons, and egg yolks. Yellow as a definition. Cowardly, craven, gutless, lily-livered, pusillanimous, spunkless, unmanly. Commonly, yellow is defined as both cowardly as well as having to do with wealth in the area of gold. Yellow is also associated with the spiritual. Now, notice the Western attack on the yellow. Notice this. Now, we're going to walk through because we got to look past the colonialism. Otherwise, your head's going to be caught up in this. okay? But these are the standard definitions, and we need to go through them. Yellow people are Asians, or depicted as Asians: Black, African, white, European, red, Native American, even Indian in some senses, even this kind of thing, and brown, Latino, so on, or lighter black people, colored, this kind of thing. Look at how Western white society has set up its color coordination, because this is going to free your mind from that this is colonialism on spirituality, which people don't want to discuss. They say, oh yeah, colonialism exists, but not here with Jesus. Colonialism exists, sure, but not with the chakras, not with that. Now we hip hop, we going past that. We talking about the truth. Colonialism exists right here. Look at the color yellow, associated with spirituality, associated with Asian culture, but associated with cowards, gutless, spineless, spunkless. This is how they do in the Asians. This is how they do in the Asians. And this is how they setting up spirituality for you never to fight back, but be passive and spineless. And take a look. Green, the color between blue and yellow in the spectrum. Colored like grass, unripe or unseasoned. Green, inexperienced, gullible, pale, sickly hued, jealous, envious, young. Green, immature in age or experience, raw, not trained, awkward. Green, unconversant, unpracticed, untried, unversed, easily fooled, easy to trick or cheat, naive and simple. Commonly, green is defined as inexperienced and also full of life or like nature. Green is also associated with money or the command to go. Green is also the symbol of fertility, growth, peace, and relaxation. All of this is green. Blue, having the color of a clear sky, sad, depressed, pornographic, politically conservative. You know, see, and look at this as well. I want you to see this because, you know, Malcolm X talked about just the black and the white, how black is evil and white is good. But all these colors actually are reflecting colonial bias toward people and cultures. Blue, having the color of a clear sky, sad, depressed. And look at it, because look at the clear, this is just all the definition. Clear sky, then it goes to sad, depressed, pornographic, politically conservative. The blue, you know. Blue, low-spirited, sad, dismal, down, unhappy, gloomy, melancholy, despondent, obscene, vulgar, indecent, lewd, improper. Commonly, blue is defined with or associated with the sky, the police, and water. Blue also symbolizes truth, devotion, calmness, loss of breath or choking, and masculinity. These are all the things that blue is associated with. Violet, bluish purple color at the end of the spectrum. It's the light spectrum. Commonly, violet is associated with both love and with piety. Many women are named Violet. White, resembling a surface reflecting sunlight without absorbing any of the visible rays, of the color of milk or snow. White, reflecting all colors, commonly associated with innocence and purity. White, spotless, honorable, trustworthy, bright. White, ghastly, ghostly, stainless, unblemished, immaculate, virginal, virtuous. Commonly, white is associated with purity and the highest level of spirituality. Black, reflecting no light, heavily overcast, completely dark, like coal, dusky, wicked, sinister, deadly, black, pitch dark, dirty, impure, unclean, depressing, dismal, evil. Commonly, black is defined as both negative and absolute. Black is associated with fear and evil, as well as authority, as with a black belt in martial arts. Black is also associated with infinity, mystery, and the universe. Black is eternal. Pink, pale red color, the most perfect condition, the peak, healthy, in good shape, perfect health, commonly associated with love and femininity. I mean, do you see the culture being discussed in this? Do you see it? White and pink, black. I didn't get the brown. Let me hit you with brown. Brown. Having the color of dark wood or rich soil, a color like that of walnut shells. Commonly, it is associated with decay and with the human characteristic of bootlicking, or the derogatory term brown nosing, meaning to cringe, grovel, and or cower. These are the traditional American. Let me just stop here. So do you see what's going on here? Okay. Red is angry, violent, crazy. Okay. Yellow is cowardly, right along with brown. Black is straight evil. Okay. And white is holy and right. Pink is perfect health. I'm in the pink. These are the sayings of colonial society, and we don't think about them at all until we stop for a minute and start breaking this stuff down. What am I saying? What am I believing when I say black and white and red and yellow and brown and violet and blue? What am I saying? What am I associating my mind with? Paragraph 57. Yeah.
Is it brown nosing or brown noisy?
Written or
Well, written.
Wait a minute. Where you at? Wait a minute. Let me find you. Characteristics of bootlicking and the derogatory term of brown noising. That says noising.
No.
It's supposed to be nosing. That's an error, ladies and gentlemen. Let's mark it. Good thing you caught that. That's an error. Mark that down. Brown nosing. It's written in the gospel as brown noising. And that has another twist to it. Brown people making noise. Brown noising. But it's brown nosing. And that's a real term in this culture. In this colonial culture. You brown nosing. Bootlicking. Why gotta be brown nosing? Why brown nose? Why not white nosing? Or even red nosing? Or why gotta be brown? Because brown or black people sitting there groveling.
I thought it was, or growing up, I thought it was, kissing up so much that your nose is in their butt.
Right. The nose in the butt, you brown nosing. But then that would mean it was a derogatory term toward white people. Because
or anybody.
Well, it's really anybody, but right, I guess it is anybody. If you, that's disgusting, because come on, now we describing feces now, and then who says it's brown? I mean, like, what are we doing here? This is disgusting. But this is the culture. This is the culture that we're dealing with, and until you stop for a minute and think about what you're really saying, you can't really advance your perception in that society. Your perception is locked down to what they're saying, like kill two birds with one stone. No, it's hatch two birds with one egg. Those kind of little things change in your mind. it gives you a whole different perspective. So under brown, that brown noising is brown nosing. These are the traditional American definitions of color as taught by a variety of public and private schools in our time. That's real truth. And remember, this is 2009, okay? At that time, up to that time, this is what color was about. And it's probably still the same way, basically. But, you know, since 2009, there's been a lot of protests. There's been a lot of reckoning in America. And a lot of people may be changing their view because they know this is crazy too. So they may be changing definitions, especially for elementary schools, junior high and high schools. They may be getting their definitions changed. But this is what it was for the last 100, 200 years. Okay, here we go. It is interesting to note how these definitions set up the hip hop, how these definitions set up the hip hop is psychology pertaining to certain people and objects within a given environment. Light and color are not to be taken as haphazard optical effects with little or no effect upon the actions of hip hoppers. Today, the racist attitude towards certain people based upon their political skin color are directly influenced by these general terms and definitions of color and have also been created by such racist views. Hip hoppers must always examine themselves to be sure that they are not engaging in such prejudices consciously or subconsciously. Check yourself. When it comes to colors and their symbolic meanings. For example, out of all 5 political color groups, black, brown, red, yellow, and white, only white is pure and innocent. Yellow is cowardly, brown is bootlicking, red is violent, and black is evil. It is also interesting to note how brown is also associated with decay, while pink is associated with perfect health. For many years in medicine, colored light has been known to affect the psychology of those exposed to it. In addition to the effects of color upon one's general interpretation of people, places, and things, color also affects one's inner moods, emotions, and sense of well-being. Light and color act upon the eye similarly to the way that music and sound act upon the ear. Both are frequencies, both are forms of energy. Soothing music brings soothing psychological results, while harsh music brings harsh psychological results. Of course, the term harsh and soothing are matters of personal preference brought about through life experience. However, the same concept applies to light and color upon the eyes. Soothing light delivers soothing psychological effects, whereas the opposite force of harsh or too bright light delivers tense and stressful effects. Just as the ears can be shocked by sounds that are too loud, so can the eyes be shocked by lights or colors that are too bright. Colors that are too bright are not necessarily colors that are the most vivid. Too bright can also be any color that is not properly presented to the eye in balance. Presently, nature itself offers the most balanced display of color to the eye. However, urban hip hoppers do not live around trees, grass, rocks, running water, natural flowers, natural sky, and wild exotic animals. We are not regularly exposed to nature's balanced display of color from which we are a product. This has been a major contributor to urban stress. The fact that we're not in nature and the colors are affecting us is a major contributor to stress. We live around concrete buildings, smog-filled skies, cars, buses, trains, trucks, airplanes, and concrete, all of which give off an unbalanced display of color and light, unbalanced, and even hide or mask the healing colors and light radiating from nature itself. Within urban environments, it is the believed definitions and interpretations of certain colors that affect the psychology of urban people the most. Even though certain colors offer medicinal, psychological, and physiological effects, most people still react to colors based upon what they believe a specific color represents. So imagine you got color is hitting you actually as an energy and a frequency and affecting you. But you also have this definition, this social definition of color that you're also responding to. For example, even though red can stop dizziness, control the muscular system, and increase body temperature, this is what red can do. Within the inner cities, red is symbolized as representing sex, danger, violence, and the command to stop. Even though blue can be a cooling color that slows the action of the heart, within the inner cities, it has been for a long time associated with law enforcement, depression, and a clear sky. Even though green can be emotionally soothing to the nervous system and lower blood pressure, within the inner cities, green means go, and it is also associated with money. Even though yellow can stimulate the mental activities of the brain, within the inner cities, yellow can be associated with the command to wait, get ready, and pay attention. Yellow is also associated with gold jewelry, sunlight, and in some cases, taxi cabs and school buses. And in some cases, in some cities, let me read that again. Yellow is also associated with gold jewelry, sunlight, and in some cities, taxi cabs and school buses. Attuned hip hoppers can see that people are generally acting out the symbolic interpretation of the color that they are exposed to every day. Urban people are being chromatically guided by the colored signals found in their environment. For example, take a look at the traffic light. Whereas on the surface, the traffic light represents red for stop, yellow for get ready and slow down, and green for go. In its symbolism, the traffic light is continuously inspiring sex, danger, aggression, money, and constant movement, or go, within inner cities.
So we got a correction. I think you said it right, but it's, well, does the traffic light presents red for stop, or does it represent?
No, it presents. Whereas on its surface, the traffic light presents red for stop. It can say represent, but no, the correct is, it's giving you this.
Okay.
It's giving you this. Whereas on the surface, the traffic light presents red for stop, yellow for get ready to slow down, and green for go. It's presenting it, yes. Go. In its symbolism, the traffic light is continuously inspiring sex, danger, aggression, money, and constant movement, or go, within inner cities. Go, 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 go. That's that green, 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 green. According to the common definitions of color, the red light does not only mean stop, it also stimulates sexual drive and aggressive behavior, even stress. Yellow informs the inner city to pay attention and get ready for the next command. Green stimulates the drive for money and relaxes the nervous system after the aggressive command of red. With every traffic signal, we are told several chromatic messages as we wait for the light. The most crucial messages are found in the red and green signals. Red, sexual drive and the constant need to be on guard, ready to fight. Green, get money and go. If we observe our cities generally and symbolically, we will find that these are the common collective attitudes of most urban populations. Of course, the way many people acquire money is by working for it. So the green command comes to symbolize work and keep on moving. The traffic light continuously perpetuates the actions of the inner cities and the control of public movement. That's what the traffic light's doing, controlling public movement, not just the car stop, go, or you stop, don't walk, walk, don't stop. The colors are also affecting public movement. The Temple of Hip Hop theorizes that if the traffic lights, highlight this, highlight 82. 82 gets the highlight. Actually, I'm sorry, 80. Yes, just 82, not 81. 81 is its own point of view. 82. The Temple of Hip Hop theorizes that if the traffic lights were chromatically arranged to coincide with health, love, awareness, and wealth, there would be definitive changes in the attitudes of the people studying them daily. And one day we'll get a chance to do that. Like, our traffic lights don't have to be red, yellow, and green. Our traffic lights could be anything. You know, like, imagine that, you know, different shades of one color, a lighter, a medium, and a dark. Don't have to be different colors, but different shades of one color. Train the public differently. Train the public toward health, toward love, toward awareness. We was talking about this. We was talking about the hip hop city, Hip-Hopia, and we were talking about how in most cities all you get is walk and don't walk. And we had changed that and said, no, in Hip-Hopia, it's going to be what we say.
Relax. Yep.
Relax for instead of stop or don't walk, it was relax. And to walk, it was, you know, progress, you know, or something like that. Relax and progress, you know, not don't walk. Like, look how the government's talking to you. Don't walk. You know, no, we don't need that. We don't need that aggression in society. In the society, it's relax. Imagine a sign that keeps going up saying relax.
Or forward.
And forward.
Forward.
Right, forward.
Move forward.
Move forward. Right, move forward. Think forward. Go forward. Even go forward. You know, as it blinks up on the thing, and you can read it. It says forward. Then the other one says relax. Next one says forward. The next one says relax. We got to think about that as we begin to build our city. The city's getting built now with this discussion. This is how the cities get built. This is how our nation gets formed. We got to learn, and we got to learn together, and we got to speak the language together and see the vision together. And then we start use that inner vision becomes the outer vision. And hallelujah, when that day comes. Let's read on. So we highlight 82. Let me finish it up. Matter of fact, let me start it again. The Temple of Hip Hop theorizes that if the traffic lights were chromatically arranged to coincide with health, love, awareness, and wealth, there would be definitive changes in the attitudes of the people studying them daily. Or if there were a second signaling system that achieved the same goals of health, love, awareness, and wealth, there would be a dramatic change in the mentalities of people now exposed to flashes of red, yellow, and green, and the highlight. Police officers use a similar style of psychological command technique, really psychological warfare. Through a combination of sounds and lights, police officers shock the ears and eyes of not only those guilty of crimes, but also of the innocent. Such is a form of social imbalance. Police officers speak to the city through the same sounds and lights they themselves disobey. Faster and more frantic sounds and lights override more subtle or lesser sounds and lights like car horns and traffic lights, even traffic signals. If you notice, the inner cities obey the lesser sounds and lights, traffic lights, traffic signs, street lights, school bus signals, automated tail and headlight signals. These are lesser lights. Until police officers and emergency medical fire service vehicles override those messages with more frantic sounds and light display. When the more frantic sounds and lights have gone, you automatically know to return to the commands of the standard city sounds and lights. Still, in the inner cities, you are never without the command of sound, color, and light, colors and lights. These alternative voices tell you when and how to act, just as if someone were verbally commanding you to do something. Most people obey these alternative voices without ever knowing that they are obeying them. In New York, Christmas shopping starts with the lighting of the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. Stores and malls all over New York report an increase in customers and gift purchasing directly after the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree has been lit. Imagine that. Everybody goes shop right after the tree is lit. It's a symbol, and everybody goes out shopping. There has also been an increase of theft directly after the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree has been lit. What if a massive love one another or self-analysis tree was lit every year? What would be the public reaction to that? What if the city streets were sky blue or even the color gold? What would be the public reaction to that? Highlight 89, y'all. Highlight 89. Let's highlight 89 because it goes with 82. Matter of fact, if you got your gospel, you can just put an arrow from 89 to 82. 90. However, the more immediate question is, what are the present psychological effects of unbalanced flashing hues of blue, red, yellow, and white lights found on the top of emergency medical service vehicles, fire trucks, and police cars in society? Does the lighting within the coliseums and clubs where very loud music is played have an effect on the listener based upon what they are listening to? How does paint color on school walls and buses affect the learning process of urban students? Hip-hoppers are constantly attacked, or rather subconsciously influenced by standard city colors, and we seek refuge in the vividly healing and rejuvenating colors of graffiti art. Hip-hoppers think a lot more colorfully than the city allows. The urban life is one of constant conformity for hip-hoppers, for the hip-hopper, and we seek to liberate ourselves through graffiti art. Graffiti art offers the hip-hopper chromatic freedom. Hip-hoppers are constantly denying their true feelings in order to fit into a predominantly dull, dim, dingy gray, brown, black, and off-white colored society. This creates the rebellious attitude symbolized in graffiti art, which sets out to not only brighten up the color schemes of the city, but also express the often ignored feelings of hip-hoppers living in that same city. It appears that the younger the person is, the more vivid and bright the colors are in that person's life. As this person gets older and conforms to the mentality of the workforce, the color scheme gets duller and duller until the person, his or herself, turns old and gray. The attuned hip hopper knows that the more color you have in your life, the slower you are to age. Did y'all hear that? The attuned hip hopper knows that the more color you have in your life, the slower you are to age. Color, meaning colorful mentality, colorful emotions, and colorful environment, tends to add richness and vibrancy to one's life. This is another importance to graffiti art. Let's highlight that. Go ahead and highlight 97 as well. Very important lesson. 98. Graffiti art, especially the brightly colored murals done since the days of prehistoric humans, serves as a balancing of color and light within the psychology of the viewer. Surfaces that already display a balance of assorted colors rarely attract graffiti artists. It is the surfaces that display only one color, usually white, that becomes the object of artistic expression within the inner cities. Stop. That's the end of lesson 3. Now lesson 4. Lesson 4 begins at paragraph 100. You may want to mark that. We did lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. Now we're at lesson 4, which begins at 100. And number 4 is chakras and the human aura. And put an S on chakras. Chakras and the human aura. Here we go. Chakras and the human aura. That's this part, 100. For hip hoppers, it is graffiti art that stimulates and balances our nervous system. Our nervous system is giving off the same display of color that we see in a well-presented graffiti piece or mural. Highlight 101, 102, and 103. We're getting all of that. 101, 102, 103. Very important. Here we go. The untrained eye cannot see the colors emanating from the nervous system, but they do exist. Just as the bright colors of graffiti art attract and stimulate the nervous system, likewise, it is the nervous system that radiates these colors. The difference is that what is called color emanating from the nervous system is more accurately called feeling. Feelings, moods, and emotions. That's the color of the nervous system, is your feelings, moods, and emotions. In reverse, what is called the feelings, moods, and emotions emanating from a graffiti piece are more accurately its display of color. So when you look at color on a piece, you're seeing moods, feelings, and emotions. And whatever display of color is giving you a certain mood, emotions, these are in you. This is how you look at art. It's moving you inside. The display of the color, the move of the light. It's creating a mood. It is the desires, moods, and emotions of a hip hopper that fuel the assortment of colors emanating from the nervous system of that hip hopper. That's the end of the highlight. Moving on. These colors are the effects of electromagnetic energy. We talked about this in Endarkenment. Electromagnetic energy, light. These colors are the effects of electromagnetic energy emanating from the electromagnetic energy of the body, which is emanating from the electromagnetic impulses of our desires, moods, and emotions. Our desires, moods, and emotions gather themselves physically in the body at 7 nerve centers or points, commonly called chakras. Read it again.
Yeah, read it again.
Okay. These colors are the effects of electromagnetic energy emanating from the electrochemical energy of the body, which is emanating from the electromagnetic impulses of our desires, moods, and emotions. Our desires, moods, and emotions gather themselves physically in the body at 7 nerve centers or points, commonly called chakras. These seven nerve centers, known in India as chakras and in martial arts as pressure points, together radiate at least 7 colors that collectively make up the human aura. Now, this is surface knowledge, okay? This is gathered, and I had to go through a lot of different books and seminars to even get to arrive at this, where I could just speak generally and include everybody's view in this generalized view. But if you really go and do the research on chakras, you'll notice that everybody got all types of views on the human aura, the chakras, their meanings, what they mean. It's endless, but it's a fascinating study because they do exist. These seven nerve centers, known in India as chakras and in martial arts as pressure points, together radiate at least 7 colors that collectively make up the human aura. The human aura radiates about 6 feet in every direction from the human body, like a sphere of energy that communicates with the electromagnetic field of our environments. You have a bubble around, like a circle. You're in a sphere. I'm trying to make a sphere, vortex. Yes, you're in a sphere that is the eminence of your body. Okay, your body is giving off electromagnetic energy, which is actually light, and it's forming a sphere around your entire being. And that sphere communicates with the electromagnetic energy out in the world and everything. Everything. Okay, this is how you could feel things that you don't necessarily detect through the 5 senses.
What's that famous picture? The famous picture of the man
with the circle around him, as man as the center of the universe. As a famous picture of a man, a Greek man with a circle around him, and sometimes has geometric shapes and so on. But the concept was that the Greeks believed that man is the center of the universe. Africans said that God is. This is a whole different situation, but that was Greek philosophy in that sense. All right, moving on. Electromagnetic field and environments. Okay, so not only does the human aura radiate our desires, moods, and emotions, it attracts them to us and also reads the same of others. Get around certain people, start feeling a way. That's your sphere communicating with their sphere. And your sphere is telling you, get away from these people. They're about to do something stupid. Or get nearer to these people. This is a good energy. I'm feeling good about this. Get closer. Now, this is a note for teachers that you'll never get unless you're here right now. There's a note for teachers. You'll notice 108. This is how I remembered this next paragraph. We're at paragraph 108. Here's why. Let me read the paragraph first. The human body is said to have 108 main nerve energy centers in all. Like we have 7, but everywhere, but what I was going to say is actually everywhere a bone meets another bone, there is said to be a nerve energy center. And there's 108 bone-to-bone connections in the human body. I put that paragraph right by paragraph 108 so that we can remember. Take it in. Now highlight 109, 101, and 110. Highlight 109 and 110. However, when we say that a nerve center radiates a color, it is more accurate to note that these colors are more symbolic than anything. They're colors, you can see them, but they're symbolic, really. Really, it's symbols. The color is a symbol of a certain mood. Within the central nervous system, color has more to do with desires, moods, and emotions than actual colors. The nervous system don't give off color. Color is an eye trick with light. But if you look past light and color and just see energy, there is no colors. It's all energy, and these energies are giving moods. So it's really just mood that we're interpreting as color, as light. Let me read it. Highlight 109 and 110. However, when we say that a nerve center radiates a color, it is more accurate to note that these colors are more symbolic than anything. Within the central nervous system, it's 110, it's 109, 110, and 111. Get 111 as well. 109, 110, and 111. Within the central nervous system, color has more to do with desires, moods, and emotions than actual colors. Some people claim to see the auras of others. However, it is very important to examine your childhood education as it pertains to all colors and their symbolic meanings, so that you are sure not to mix your own prejudices in with what you are seeing. We urge hip-hoppers to feel and master the colors of themselves before claiming to see and interpret the colors of others. I had to go through this. I went through it. White is right. I'm wearing white, thinking that white is pure and holy, until I opened my mind and realized all of these colors are holy and all of them are evil. It's based on how you, well, let's go further with it. I'm not going to give the lesson away. We have to do the lesson. But open your mind to this. Open your mind to this. There's no colors, really. It's moods, desires, and emotions. Color is, the interpretation of color is cultural. It's cultural. To some, the color red means one thing. To others, the color red means something else. So how can you say the heart chakra is red? How can you say the crown chakra is white? How can we say the stomach chakra is green? No, they're not really colors. These are moods, emotions, frequencies, and energies. So when you say, I see auras or I see the colors of people, be careful, because you could be seeing colonialism too, straight up, and you got to be clear with that. So many people are not. And so many good minds, people who are centered in their spirit. But colonialism ain't got nothing to do with that. Got spiritual people talking colonial. And they can't get past it either. and trying to struggle to get past there. What it is it? Why I know I need to be better. I know I need to, but I just can't get to this level of consciousness. What is it? You might need to come to the temple of hip hop and be told that you're a colonist. You might need to hear that from somebody, that you're a colonist and you need to get past that. How do I get past being a colonist? Realize that you are a colonist. Don't walk around with a haughty and arrogant attitude on the United States land. We're on Indian land. This is Indian territory. Act like you know. That's all you got to do. The colonists don't act like he know or she knows. They just act like they're supposed to be here. No, we know. We walk humbly across the land because we know what the deal is. We Africans, we know what the deal is. So we walk humbly across the land. This is the beginning of changing your attitude. We don't kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We hatch 3 birds with 1 egg. It's an attitude. Still, a person's aura can be seen. Some people possess the gift, even handicap, because those that I know can see auras or see vibrations. They say it's a handicap. They don't necessarily like it. They deal with it, but it's a handicap. Some people possess the gift, even handicapped, to see the colors of sound, see the color of sound and objects, even the human aura. A common practice of seeing the human aura is simply analyzing what a person's favorite color is, which can be given a symbolic meaning, or analyzing what a person's favorite desire, mood, and or emotion is, which can be ascribed a certain color. Although not always accurate, the color of a person's car, clothes, house interior or exterior, etc., can indicate the general desires, moods, and emotions of that person. So if you walk in a situation, you can look around a person's house, their environment, and so on, and see the general mood. It's not always accurate, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. And then you got to look at that. If you walk in a room and everything's black, does your grade school education say this is evil? Or does your grade school education say, no, this is infinity? This is the absolute. So it's like, be careful with these colors. Let's highlight 114. Highlight 114. However, hip hoppers are advised here again to take extra caution when interpreting the colors surrounding people. Most people, when interpreting color, ignore the sociological and political definitions of color and are led astray. Highlight that. Moving on. A prime example of this is found in the definitions of black and white. As pointed out previously, it has been said that the highest spiritual light or color is the color white, and the lowest is the color black. These misleading interpretations tend to lead hip hoppers astray in their mental graphics or visualizations. As an example, in more ancient civilizations, black is depicted as sacred, holy, and or benevolent, whereas white is referred to as recently deceased. And that's not, this is not no kiddie, well, white is this and black is that. No, this is real history. In ancient art, to see somebody white means they were in spirit. White was the color of the transparent. They would draw you white when you was invisible, but they knew you was there. They would draw you white. So you was either the recently deceased, and later on, you became spirit beings drawn in white. Instead, and now 1718, highlight 1718. Highlight 17 and 18. Instead, hip hoppers are to recognize all colors as spiritual light, because all color is an effect of energy. When it comes to color, it is more accurate to refer color to the more bright and vivid as positive, and dull and bland as negative. Even more accurately, All colors are energy and they display both positive and negative frequencies. So the whole idea of judging colors is colonial, leads to racism. It probably comes right out of it. But you don't judge a color really as red is violent, green means money. That's that colonial thing. Colors are vibrations and frequencies. It's almost like medicine, or it's like electricity even. You don't judge electricity. uh 118, and you're highlighting 117 and 118. Therefore, it is even more accurate to focus one's meditation or visualization upon the strength and weakness of one's energy color output. This is what determines what's positive or negative, not the color, but the dimness or vibrancy. I'm wearing black right now, and white, actually. I'm wearing black and white, but it's vivid. I got a clean white shirt on today, y'all. I'm clean, okay, on a Sunday. I got a clean white, vivid white. Okay, there's another white. It's a dingy white. We ain't trying to see. Okay, there's a bright white. Even on my shirt, this is a vivid black. Okay, this is a black. This is bright black. Okay, this is not a dull, dingy, dirty black. Okay, this is not what that is. This is a bright, vivid black, like my hair. Vivid black. Vivid white, vivid red, bright yellow, bright green, a faded green, faded yellow, faded violet. This is where you say, no, the energy is low. That's what makes it undesirable or negative, or, you know, this kind of thing. If you got to judge it, you judge it because the energy's low, not because one color is more evil or better than another color. That's immature, and it comes from a colonial perspective, the judging of people. And we see it in the literature. We see it. Therefore, it is even more accurate to focus one's meditation or visualization upon the strength and weakness of one's energy color output. Instead of looking at color as either positive or negative, good or bad, focus more upon color as being strong or weak, bright or dull. With this in mind, bright and vivid black or white is considered highly spiritual, energized, as opposed to the less energized radiance of a more dull or dingy or dim black or white. And the highlight. The first nerve center, the first nerve energy center of the human body is generally believed to radiate the color red. It is located in the pelvic area at the gonads area. Its personality is about 4 years of age, and it is commonly believed to represent sexual energy and courage. It is the stage where a person identifies with self differently from everyone else. All survival and self-preservation attitudes are established here. The first nerve center, the first nerve energy center, chakra, signifies our life force and sense of self. So right away, the chakras start at the low. The first chakra is right around your groin area. The first nerve center influences one's sense of desire, will, ancestry, and manifestation. All manifestation, goals, wish, visions, dreams, etc., happens through this first nerve center, also known as the root chakra. One's ancestral awareness is also regulated through this nerve center. The second nerve center is believed to radiate the color orange. It is located at the intestines. Women tend to locate this nerve center at the womb. It represents our desires, moods, and emotions outwardly. Its personality is about 7 years of age. The second nerve center represents the creation of life. The third nerve center is located at the diaphragm. At the diaphragm or solar plexus, just above the stomach and below the V in the rib cage. It is believed to radiate the color yellow and represents our opinions and judgments. The third nerve center is also the center of personal power. It is truly a central nerve. Notice how your stomach knots up when you are afraid or nervous. The feeling of butterflies in your stomach is directly related to your third nerve center. It is also where we take in and seek to understand knowledge. Its personality is about 12 years of age. The fourth nerve center is believed to radiate the color green. It is located in the center of the chest. It is the link between material reality and spiritual reality. It is the centered self, or rather one's sense of peace and well-being. This nerve center is represented by the thymus organ. It is here that we gain the ability to transform ourselves and our environment through higher ideas and dreams. The personality of this nerve center is about 18 years of age. It marks the beginning of higher consciousness. The fifth nerve center is believed to radiate the color blue. It begins a person's spiritual life. It is the first stage in a person's awareness of his or her life path. This nerve center is located just above the throat. Rhythm and authoritative speech are among its qualities. This nerve center inspires one's sense of justice, truth, and perfection. Its personality is between 28 and 35 years of age. This is like when you reach these ages, this is when these chakras are supposed to open up for you. And this is supposed to dominate your attitude about life. The sixth nerve center is believed to radiate the color violet. It is the third eye, the spirit eye. It has the ability to go beyond time and space. This nerve center is located at the forehead and is believed to be responsible for visualization, insight, and inspiration. It governs the pineal gland. It is the seat of wisdom. Its personality is between 45 and 50 years of age, 50 years. The seventh nerve center is believed to radiate all light. It is located at the top of the head. It is the place where most people believe they consciously exist. It is regarded as divine consciousness with an ageless personality. The nerve centers regulate the electromagnetic energy. The nerve centers regulate the electrochemical energy in the body. These nerve centers, they regulate the electrochemical energy in your body. Each nerve center rotates opposite to the one below it and above it. So this one may be going this way, this one's this way, this one's this way, this one's this way. The nerve centers regulate the nerve centers regulate the electrochemical energy in the body. Each nerve center rotates opposite to the one below it and above it, creating a magnetic emanation or field around the body, which is called its aura. So because you have these opposite, this one's going left, left, right, this one's going right, left, left, right, left, right, right, you're causing energy. And this is now becoming your moods, your desires, your emotions, and now your aura. The nerve centers aura. The human aura is a magnetic field around the body that attracts and repels to the body that which the heart desires. Your aura is the atmosphere that you create through your own thoughts and desires. Come on. Highlight 130. 130, got to get it. Come on now, 130. The human aura is a magnetic field around the body that attracts and repels to the body that which the heart desires. Your aura is the atmosphere that you create through your own thoughts and desires. It is the atmosphere that you bring when you walk into a room. Likewise, it is also the feeling that you get when certain people come around you. A person's aura can be as small as a person's aura can be as small as a 6-foot concentrated circle or as wide as one's reputation. Think about that. Some auras are attracted to one another while other auras are not. Your aura may know something deeper about the person or situation in front of you that your immediate conscious perception of that person or situation has revealed or is not revealed. Let me read that again. Your aura may know something deeper about the person or situation in front of you than your immediate conscious perception of that person or situation has revealed. Perform listening. That's in the third overstep. It is not just through speech that we communicate. Our very auras, or the electromagnetic vibrating force fields of our bodies, mingle and speak to the electromagnetic vibrating force field of other bodies. During this process, we sense things about people and situations that were never discussed or revealed to us verbally. Such a form of communication is clearly beyond speech. Here, ideas are exchanged with more honesty and with more transparency. Only those with the honest intentions of achieving peace, love, unity, and having fun for all would even want to engage in such a conversation, an inner conversation. Such a being is no threat to life. Such a being has nothing to hide. Such a being has no hidden agenda. Without the use of words, the very character of an attuned hip-hopper controls that hip-hopper's magnetic nervous system, thus controlling that hip-hopper's frequency or rate of magnetic vibration, thus controlling the turn of events attracted to that hip-hopper's environment, which is also magnetic, thus controlling what is attracted and repelled to and from that hip-hopper's life. You get what you truly expect. Highlight 135 now. The Temple of Hip Hop teaches graffiti art as the balancing of one's energies, desires, moods, and emotions. Such a balancing assists in one's tranquil living. The spirit of an attuned hip hopper reflects the bright and vivid colors of a disciplined mind. Such a mind exists in a state of peace. It is content. It's when all your colors match. Many modalities exist that enable the hip hopper to balance the nervous system and experience tranquility. However, before embarking upon any endeavor that claims to balance energy, it is wiser to develop one's own self-examination techniques to measure and evaluate one's own energy. Know thyself. In order to evaluate your own energy and which nerve center needs to be adjusted, you can use a variety of techniques. They're out there. An imbalance in the nerve system can manifest as physical disorders if it is left unbalanced. For example, sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, are associated with an imbalanced first nerve center chakra, or root chakra, since they affect the pelvic region. Issues regarding will, belonging, or ancestry may be traced to STDs. Chronic lower back pain is associated with an imbalanced second nerve chakra, imbalanced second nerve center, otherwise known as the emotional center. If this is a condition that you suffer from, you may be worrying too much. Indigestion, ulcers, and stomach disorders are associated with an imbalanced third nerve center or solar plexus. These imbalances can be traced to personal power issues such as lack of will, feeling overpowered, or exerting too much force or power. Heart attacks, heartburns, and breast cancer are associated with an imbalanced fourth nerve center or the heart chakra. These disorders may be associated with an emotional hardening of the heart, loneliness, or one's lack of humanity. Throat disorders such as laryngitis, sore throats, and some speech disorders are related to an imbalance in the fifth nerve center or throat chakra. These disorders may be traced to issues regarding an unwillingness or inability to communicate. Headaches, insomnia, and nightmares are associated with a disorder in the sixth nerve center or third eye. These disorders may be associated with overanalyzing, worrying, restlessness, and doubt. Lack of vision, life path, or lack of spiritual awareness is associated with an unopened seventh nerve center or crown chakra. These disorders may manifest as confusion, fear, anxiety, creative stagnation, and or depression. As mentioned earlier, a variety of methods are used to balance the nerve centers of the human body. Some people use meditation and visualization. Others use hands-on healing modalities such as Reiki, pranic healing, and acupuncture. Still, others use yoga, dance, feng shui, aromatherapy, and here even chromotherapy. The attuned hip hopper recognizes the uniqueness of everyone's life path. Everyone's life path is like their graffiti tag. It is their unique purpose. Hip hoppers are advised to find a nerve balancing technique or instructor that fits their consciousness and use it or them regularly. Balance your chakras. There's so much good stuff out there. Some people do it with sound. Some people do it with color. Some people chant, have the Om going. I like messing with the Om. Oh, and it goes all the way down. It goes all the way down, and it balances the chakras. But there's all kinds. You got to do your own thing and figure yourself out. Instructed, right? Use them regularly. Like the spoken word, the written word also reflects the desires of one's heart. Graffiti art is indeed hip hop's written word. Therefore, one must analyze one's own art for an even deeper understanding of one's own heart. Sometimes to understand yourself, you should draw it. Even if you can't draw, just scribble something. It still is going to express who you are inside. Do not try to be the best graffiti writer. Only try to express your higher self through your art. That's what real graffiti writing is. You know what I'm saying? It's not about trying to be like the Tats crew, okay? But what is your expression? Become the consciousness of the people viewing your art. And I do that in MCing. I write according to the people I'm rhyming to. I don't just write what I want to write. I do that too. But I really write according to the people I'm going to speak to. And your art should reflect the same way. Now that's the end of lesson 4. Here now the end of lesson 5, and thus the end of the graffiti art lesson. Lesson 5 was preservation of the graffiti writer. Preservation of the graffiti writer. Now we have gone over 1, graffiti art in history. 2, why does graffiti art exist for us? 3, color and light effects on perception. 4, chakras and the human aura, which we just read. Now 5, preservation of the graffiti writer, which then closes this chapter. We read at 147. Remember, at 146, the 4th part of this ends. Now 147, preservation of the graffiti writer. Even though certain graffiti writers prefer to remain outlaws, it is of great importance to the further development of graffiti art as an artistic skill that we use such a skill to decriminalize hip-hop culture and add to our own entrepreneurship. Graffiti art is a valuable skill in the world that can be developed to enhance one's quality of life. This is so important. Eventually, matter of fact, it's so important. Why don't we go ahead and highlight that first one? 147. I need that highlight right now. 148. Eventually, the graph writer should seek ways to advance his art industry, his or her art industry. For the advancement of all graph writers, you should be seeking to advance the industry for the advancement of all of us. Getting locked up, hurt, and or killed before one can actualize one's purpose in life actually stagnates the progress of graffiti writing. We must remain concerned for how graffiti writing is presented and portrayed in the world. Graffiti writing is not vandalism. It is a form of art, a form of self-expression. Yes, Graffiti art shall always be about social protest and getting your name up. But for the preservation and expansion of true graffiti writing, we must pass down to our children the most advanced ways of protesting social injustice and getting their names up without being harmed or incarcerated. The Temple of Hip Hop advises, and right there, you know we're going to highlight this real quick. The Temple of Hip Hop advises hip hop's gifted graffiti writers to also produce customized clothing, furniture, and even DVD documentaries, animated motion pictures, graffiti art history books, comic books, children's books, toys, and video games. Yes, the essence of graffiti writing encompasses all of this. Let's go ahead and highlight that. Go ahead and highlight that. That's straight instruction. Young graffiti writers that don't know where to go with this. I got this art, I got this talent, I don't know where to go with it. Here's where you go with it. Customized clothing, furniture. Look up people like Zephyr and Futura 2000. They got a mean furniture situation. And others, did they think. DVD documentaries, animated. Remember, directing films is a graffiti eye. You got to have a graffiti eye to direct films, to shoot films. Animated motion pictures, graffiti art history books. Write a book. Comic books. Children's books. Toys and video games. That's all graffiti. All that is within the spirit of graffiti art. The modern graph writer has no time for prison. Graffiti art's value and worth to the modern hip-hop family is extremely high when you consider a career in advertising, promotion and marketing, website design, graphic design, all kinds of merchandising, and even photography. Hip-hoppers are advised to explore these avenues of creative expression, as well as bombing and tagging, piecing and burning. There it is. And let us go ahead and get 152 as well. Highlight 152 as well. They go together, 151, because they're instructions for younger graffiti writers as to where should I go with this art. We're telling you right here, you got books, comics, toys, movies, marketing and promotion, website design. I don't even have tattooing up here, but tattooing, if you got the skill, this is where you go with this in your in your later years. You don't have to be in a train yard. We did that. It was cool. It was wonderful. You may want to do it again. But as a career, as a raising your family, this is where you need to be. This is where you need to go. This, my friends, is the spirit of graffiti art as taught by the Temple of Hip Hop. That concludes our lesson for today. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Red, you give one word for each.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Hold up. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It does end. The lesson does end right there. But if you flip to the other page, this is where we have the I probably should have read this next week. But no, it goes with this. It does not next week. It's this week. This is a list of you'll see, I'm sorry, here, a list of colors. This is hip hop's list of colors. And it's based on the world. I tried to upgrade the colors based on what everybody is thinking. And this is what I came up with. Red, courage. Orange, healing. Yellow, intelligence. Green, peace. Notice that. Blue, authority. Violet, beauty. Black, eternal. White, purity. Purple, spirit. Brown, strength. Gold, security. Pink, love. That's more accurate to how we live. That's more accurate to how even society approaches these colors. But it's based on everything. So don't even take this as the end all be all. You can refer to it to have something alternative than the racism we're dealing with. This is an alternative. Look at colors like this. Red is for courage, orange for healing, yellow for intelligence, green for peace, blue for authority, violet, beauty, black, eternal, white, purity, purple, spirit, brown, strength, gold, security, and pink is love. And this is a more positive way of approaching even people. If you're still stuck in the colonial look at it, come on, my Native American brothers are courageous. Our Asian brothers are intelligent. Brothers and sisters, our Asian brothers and sisters are intelligent. Come on now, black is eternal and everlasting. White is pure. I love wearing white. You clean when you white. And we know that. Brown is strength. Strength. And pink is love. I mean, this is how you approach people. If you stuck in that stupidity called race. So this is how we doing it right here. This concludes the lesson. As we conclude every week, I'm up to my 3-hour mark. As we conclude every week, I usually go out with Sun One, giving us that synopsis, that summary. But we have a meeting to go to. We got a meeting to go to, so I'm cutting him short today. We have a gentleman we're just talking to as well today. He came all the way to meet with us as well, working on another music project, see what's going on with this. We have to dash away, do that meeting, and then I still got to drive to Atlanta as well. It's going to be a long day. Started out with this right here, which is always great for me. This is an energizer for me. Good way to start my day. But remember, y'all, with graffiti writing, you ain't got to have a can in your hand and a big, thick marker to call yourself a graffiti writer. When you're studying our culture and studying graffiti writing, this is the spirit of it. This is the spirit. You're trying to get your name out there. You're trying to get your existence heard. That's the essence of it. You're trying to innovate. You're trying to tell people who you are through art. You're trying to see your moods, emotions, and feelings through the art. That's what you're trying to do. And graffiti art is magnificent. Every true hip hopper should have a graffiti art piece on their wall. And that's just the truth. So shout out to all the graffiti writers. Don't get yourself killed, hurt, locked up on the FBI list. We can't deal with that. That was the old days. And we did what we had to do to do what we got to do today. But right now, no, we transcended that. We're doing furniture now. We're shooting movies now. We're doing games now. We have whole comic book series. Use your art wisely. We're not writing on people's private property. That's silly. Somebody working hard for something, you're going to go write on there. Don't even encourage that. We don't write on churches, synagogues, mosques, other temples, holy buildings. We don't write on that. Public property, though. I'm not going to encourage you to write on public property. That's illegal. But what I will encourage you to do is express yourself wherever you can in the public. The public is yours, and public space is yours. Don't let these other people tell you, as you pay taxes, that you can't modify the public space. Now, you may have to go about it a certain way. Don't just pull out a spray can and start spray painting. Go downtown and get that permission. Get that legal wall. Be a little more savvy about yourself and how you're actually going to express yourself in the public. Be professional about what you're doing. And for those of you that are out there just on this spray paint, just the graph scene out there, make sure you take care of yourselves. Make sure you take care of yourself because you're doing something illegal. So if the cops shoot you dead in the street right there, there's no remorse. You know the risk. Like drug dealers in the street, like gun sellers, and like anybody know the risk. You know what it is going in. What I'm trying to say is here at the Temple of Hip Hop, we preserve hip hop by preserving the hip hopper. And you are a hip hopper. And we love and care for you here at the Temple of Hip Hop. So we're not going to advise that you do the illegal thing. We're not going to advise that you do that outlaw thing. We're not going to advise that. We're going to advise that you take your skill and make the best of your life and for yourself and for your family. That's what we're advising when it comes to graffiti art. That's it, y'all. I'm out of here. Son One, show your face at least. And we're on the run. Peace and much love.
Peace and much love, everybody. I'm going to be very quick. Excellent read, as always, here at the Temple of Hip Hop. We have an exciting opportunity for all of our members who are attending these classes. We have a video that we're creating for Raw Hip Hop. It's one of our most popular songs off of the album, I Am an MC, Are You One Too? And so we're inviting really all of you or whoever possibly can to send in video of you doing some type of visual performance to Raw Hip Hop. Try to have as professional of a camera as possible. These work though, as far as good video or the right camera phone will work. Get your crew together, people within your community. Get these people together and create something dope. And who knows, you may wind up in the video. The way to send us that video is to send us an email, preferably send a WeTransfer. For those who don't know, WeTransfer.com, WeTransfer.com, WeTransfer. And revisit this or whatever if you need to get it again. But send us a WeTransfer to rawhiphop2022@gmail. That's rawhiphop2022@gmail. RAWHIPHOP2022@gmail. Obviously, the doper it is, the better chance that you actually have as far as getting into the video. And once you send and we select who, then we will contact those who sent in the videos and handle all the legalities and whatnot. And actually, I'm gonna just end with that. I will say, or I said earlier in one of our earlier lessons, pay attention to these words that have Ra in them: chakra, aura, having to do with light and its origins coming out of Africa. You are not a race. Technically, or for prime example, Puerto Rican. Puerto means Port Rican, or Rico means rich. You can't be that. We're all Africans. If we're anything, we're all human, one human, in different shades, as beautiful as the Creator created us. So peace and much love to you all. Have a wonderful week. Peace.
Can you dance? Let's find out. I want to see everybody on the dance floor right now. I'm about to put y'all to the test. Let's go. Do you know the dances? Do you know the hip hop dances? Let's see. This one is the raw for sure, taking no chances. Bringing back them old school dances, here's the answers. Whether you remember or you're new to this endeavor, dance is a major part of this culture forever. What are we preserving if the children ain't learning? Culture ain't about just numbering and just wording. Sometimes you gotta show the culture at the party. Let's start with the Bismarck dance. Come on, everybody. The Bismarck, the party bout to get sparked. This is that moment you get live, get courage, get hard. I spit art, I'm one of a kind, they not me. I'm digitally underground like Shock G. Speaking of Shock G, when I jump, we jump. That's crisscross, but we talking about Humpty Hump. When you up, what? This is your chance. Come on everybody, do the Humpty dance. Let's go! Was the Humpty, now let's get it chunky. Like Biz used to say, yo, let's get funky, funky. With the funk flow, we don't stop. Right about now, we gonna take it to the WAP. Remember the WAP? Feet slide, shoulders drop. We did it in the clubs, we even did it on the block. Ready, set, go. Stand on your spot. Take it to the top. Come on, y'all, let's do the WAP. Non-stopping, hip-hopping, we dropping. We ain't even get yet to popping or locking. It's shocking how many dance moves we came with. Obviously, we and the ancestors got the same gift, the same lift, the same riff, and the same split. Like Bob Marley said, when the music hits, it's painless. You can't tame this or hate this. You gotta love me. Come on, y'all, let me see you do the Dougie. Woo! That's right. That's right. This that part where we go freestyle. Some of y'all doing the Cabbage Patch, some of y'all doing the Running Man. Let me see what you got. Come on.